evening, Councillor Dunning.
Hey.
Okay.
All right. I'm here.
Great. Thanks. Good to have you, Andrew. Yeah,
Thank you.
I don't think if there's anything else, I'll just pass it right over to admin, I believe.
Sure.
That sounds okay.
Sure, be happy to do that.
Thank you.
This budget, I think, because we have our manager here from Parks and Recreation. I think, though, before we start this, I do believe we have a delegation presentation. Is that correct? So why don't we hear from the delegation first,
Sure.
and then we can go into the Parks and Rec budget.
Okay, wonderful.
Okay,
Thank you. Okay. Before we introduce you guys, can I get a motion to adopt the agenda? Councillor Bain? Thank you very much. All those in favor? Awesome.
And
Okay. Andrew, thank you. Councillor Dunning. Okay, the floor is yours.
May I approach your bench to give you?
Absolutely. Yes, please do. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Could you give the names of all of the representatives as well, please?
If you guys don't mind introducing yourselves,
Oh, of course.
that would be great.
Yes,
Thank you.
I am Candace Thompson, acting president and secretary of High Country Minor Hockey. This is Lori Tomlinson, who is from our Foothills Skating Club, who's a treasurer. We have Blake Dewar, who is our treasurer of High Country Minor Hockey, and Renee LaRouche Simmons, who is our registrar.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, do I have to stand in this room?
No, not at all. No, whatever makes you comfortable.
So good evening, Mayor Kelly, council members, and fellow attendees. I've already introduced myself, so again, I'm Candace Thompson. Our High Country Minor Hockey Association, along with Foothills Skating Club, is based out of the Oilfields Regional Arena here in Black Diamond. So tonight I'm going to be speaking on behalf of both organizations. So tonight we're here to discuss the impact of the ice fees that in retrospect cause our registration to fees to be set, and how it overall affects both of our associations. So sports provide our youth and kids a developmental experience. It's a journey on both health and physical activity. Every kid deserves a chance to play. Sports bring communities together, a social connection for parents and kids to be able to meet and enjoy set sports. We are a small community, and we need your support to keep hockey and skating local for our kids and community. So I have a few little bulletins here. Overall, both of our associations highly foster physical activity, the love of each sport, leadership skills, work ethic, teamwork, and a sense of community pride and spirit, which all then gets instilled to later generations, just as it kind of trickles down. We also, each of our groups do provide community service as well. So a little back history just on our arenas that we do utilize. So the indoor rink was originally built through government grants. Then due to some finances, it's kind of put a standstill on private citizens, along with like the Hustlers hockey team, which is a part of the men's league back in the day. They all either donated, fundraised, and also donated their time and efforts to build the indoor rink. The outdoor rink was built with donations from the Seaman family, so hence the Scott Seaman arena, as there's many throughout the province that they fund, and along with the Flames Project 75. I did attach here just their link if you do want to check that out on the internet. So over the years, private citizens and organizations have done upgrades on the arena. High Country has fundraised through tournaments to put in place the new fountain or water fountain, and along with putting in a wheelchair accessibility space, as opposed to them being kind of pushed over to where the lockers are, where there's no heat and stuff, and kind of isolated in a funny little spot. So again, a lot of these things are just very like general things that I would like to bring to kind of highlight that we've gathered information on. I know that our arena has done a project with the Municipal Climate Change Action Center. And so we've also done a little bit of research where with that being put in place, not sure if that affects the overall budget and what the cost of the arena is, but I looked up other arenas, similar centers, communities like ours, and they are able to have ice fees lower than ours. So on behalf of minor hockey, our ice fees are pretty much one of our largest costs that we consume in a year. At least 85% of our registration fees goes to pay that. With this being said, most years we barely break even, or we assume a loss, and some years we actually assume a fairly deep loss. We have had to increase our registration fees to our players, and we're still not able to cover all the costs to sustain our association. On average, for ice fees alone, we do pay approximately $12,000. I have shown up here with our monthly checks, and sometimes some of the front end staff has actually commented, they're like, "Ooh, that's a hefty bill." So, I mean, granted, they don't see all the ins and outs, but that comment has been made. We, as in minor hockey, we are also, during our weekly practice times, we are also paying for the in-between flood times. So our ice fees are $150 plus GST per hour. But if we booked 1 hour and say Okotoks booked 1 hour and some other private group booked an hour, they would all be paying $150 plus GST, but there would still be a flood between. But we, in sense, are being charged that, which on average is costing us approximately $340 a week when we have no players on the actual ice surface. So over our regular season, which is October to February, we're consuming a cost of about $7,700. As far as hockey and skating, to be sustainable for families, we need to keep registration fees as low as possible. But in sense, we have to be able to cover our overall ice fees, which is not allowing us to keep our registration as low as other regional facilities. And if you go through the pages, we've done spreadsheets indicating what other arenas who are they're at least in our Intuitive Hockey League that we play against, along with a lot of our CAL teams. So that is our older age groups that play in a different competitive league. So you can see the comparisons there to what we're paying per hour as opposed to what they are paying in per hour. And I did do a breakdown of the sense of like who is lower, how much lower, and who's sitting higher. So obviously Okotoks is sitting much higher than us, but they are a community that is 4.5 to 5 times at least larger than what our community is. And in the one bracket on the overall ice fee times, I did put in a little left-hand side note what each population of their communities are. Fortunately, these are based on 2016 numbers as far as the internet has updated, but I can't imagine most of our small rural communities have had a huge boom, hence like Okotoks has, like I'm sure their numbers are much higher. Our registration fees are only a part of the cost that our members have to pay to play hockey and for skating. There's always the cost accrued by, equipment, travel time. You have to have hotels because you're traveling out of town and stuff. So it's not like we just have this set price and that's all families are paying for a year to have these experiences. So all these additional things do become a burden on top of a high registration fee. I pulled up a newscast, which I do have a link on there from 2018. And I did highlight a few quotes in there that are a little misleading. We were compared to Okotoks and Calgary, which I feel comparing us to Okotoks is apples to broccoli and Calgary is apples to grill. Sounds like a super ridiculous comparison, But when we're looking at centers like that, it really is, we're not even in the same category as those communities are. So overall, like looking at ways that the arena can facilitate extra fees, like I see that there's always sponsorship up on the boards, up on the backsplash behind the players' benches. I'm assuming these costs are being kind of like an annual cost to remain having your sponsorship logo up there. And are there not government grants that can help for overall community facilities to keep them running? Here we also rent out our concession space. It's not like some communities will have it run by their hockey associations. Ours is not. So that's bringing in funds, along with our upstairs is being rented out to the Boys and Girls Club, which is also bringing in funds to facilitate the facility. So what we're looking at is how are other arenas and communities able to keep their costs down? And how can our community look at those same kind of points that they're maybe taking on to minimize the costs that are going into our local associations? So we are a small community, and the next generation of kids that are wanting to play, learn to skate, figure skate, are essentially at risk due to increased fees. And with COVID pandemic, we have witnessed the negative effects on the loss of these organizations and these having parents and families have these access to these programs. So in sense, this could also be something we could look at down the road if prices keep going up, people can't afford to do these things, which is really unfortunate that potentially later generations don't have that same accessibility to be able to join organizations like the skating club or minor hockey. If you do have any further questions or concerns, you can definitely contact High Council Minor Hockey. I attached our email at the bottom. And then, like I said, I did attach the spreadsheets just showing what the cost difference is for ice fees along with what their registrations fees. And we are sitting in a very minimal margin to what Okotoks is. And with their population, it just doesn't seem to quite make sense to us. So on that, I would just like to thank you guys for taking the time to listen to us, and hopefully some positive changes could come for our associations and our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions? Start off. Councilor Bain?
The registration fee is the same regardless of where the individuals come from. Like Turner Valley residents, Millerville residents, Longview, they all pay exactly the same amount.
Yes, because our draw zone within Hockey Alberta and Hockey Canada is like a very large demographic on a map. So that includes all the way to from Pritis on the north side to Longview. And then our boundaries, unfortunately, barely make it out of town. And then Okotoks includes on that. But that's a whole different topic. But yes, so all players within our draw zone have the exact same registration fees. Obviously, they differ between the different age groups.
Please go ahead.
The CAO, if I could. Does Turner Valley, Millerville, Pritis, any of these other organizations, communities pay towards the upkeep of the arena?
No. Having said that, Turner Valley, Millerville, and income communities within the High Country Hockey Association and or Foothills Figure Skating pays local youth rates. If it is a non-local youth rate or any other non-local, those rates are higher.
Do we pay to support the swimming pool?
No. Sorry, did I answer that too quickly?
No. Just trying to sort things out. Thank you.
Councilor Bain?
Just, I guess, am I allowed to ask? Okay. So why is there a fee for the in-between floods if they book multiple times?
It's common practice with most facilities when you have a block booking.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a single booking, we pay for the flood for the roof. The block booking, we pay for the whole time slot. Or that's broken up, we pay for the floods and everything.
But then that example where if there was multiple people who were booking in a row an hour at a time, the town would cover the flood in between.
So if it's different groups, we pay to do the flood group start.
Okay.
And if it's a block book, it doesn't matter if it's local or non-local. They pay for that full time slot.
Then second question would be for you guys, if that was to go away, that expense, that help with. So that's every, yeah, kind of rebudgeted as.
Yeah. just like, most of us are like the newer to the board,
Mhm.
so we just caught it on the off chance.
Councillor Dunning, please.
I just had a question, and so do we have statistical information as to how many children are in the town and how many people participate in this activity? Charlene saying yes.
We have our registration number. We could pull that together, but it pulls from like Longview, Artis, and it's not just the town of Black Diamond.
Did you get that, Councillor Dunning?
I did, thank you. Yeah, that'd be it'd be good to get that information to see, you know, what kind of impact this is having. And then the other question is, and I think maybe Councillor Vandenhoek already asked that, if the fees were lowered, would the number of people or number of children participating, would that increase? Is it the cost that's inhibiting children from signing up for hockey and skating?
It definitely is in part for us. We've had some new members over like just the past few months. And we do offer like kids sport, jump sport, like we accept any kind of fees coming in where they've asked about that. So already that is showing that families are needing some financial help. There is 2 families that are kind of waxing and waning because of the registration fee. And we have lost some families over the years just due to financial situations, which I mean happens on a day-to-day basis for everyone. You have to sometimes trim the fat somewhere, but it's just really unfortunate if you have to trim the fat for your kids.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So we have a fees list for the Black Diamond rink here. City of O'Brien, are these local rates or non-local rates or is this?
On this sheet?
Front page on
Yeah.
this one.
So non-prime, if I can,
Please go ahead.
so non-prime local, non-prime youth is at 112.91 an hour. Youth prime, and prime is, Les, you're gonna have to help me with prime times. I don't,
Okay, so we have non-prime and prime lifetime. So we have one non-prime from 6 in the morning to noon, one from noon to 4. Prime clock is 4 o'clock on Monday to Friday, and weekends and holidays from 6 in the morning till 11:30.
And so there's no local versus non-local.
That's just the local usage on air. Non-local is higher rates than the local.
Sorry.
Please.
So our youth prime rate for locals is $217.25 per hour.
No.
So where did these numbers come from?
Those numbers came from, there's us, Okotoks, there's Scottsdale Sports Rink, and I'm in a group called the Calgary Area Managers Coordinated Committee. So it's facilities around Calgary and in Calgary. So that's the average from all those facilities around and in Calgary. Our rates are 150 for local youth for prime.
CEO Brown?
So on the, Les has got this broken down for council members that you will see the, there's not page numbers on here, but second from the back, and it starts with the pie chart where it says SSR youth resident location. There's a little table in there. And 2021-22, non-prime A, non-prime B, and youth prime is what the rates are. 85, 95, and 150 per hour. And that's the 2021-22 season rates. The front page is an average, as the document says.
Yes, please go ahead, Councilor.
So that, and like this is comparing again, like Calgary, Foothills County would be Blackie, would it? Or what arena is that?
No, well, there's two different sections. Blackie is the separate one. It's still in Foothills County, but it's on the west side. So it's out of our area.
So, okay, so this comparison with using Foothills County.
Okay, so
And if I look at the piece that the user groups brought to us and look at, for example, Claire's Home being a similar size to us, and their time is, adult prime is 100, non-prime and birthday parties 45.20, 69.50 for youth and minor hockey and local prime time. High River 135 for local prime time. 105 for non-prime. If I look at the ones that are similar size, if I look at Okotoks, yes, they are a higher rate, and Vulcan is a lower rate. So I'm just kind of not getting where these numbers came from, especially on this front page. If this is an average, but an average of what?
those the average. So the one that is
Yeah.
the average is the average from here from I'm in a group called the Calgary Area Managers Coordinating Committee. So that is groups from Calgary and surrounding Calgary. So a lot of the arenas around the city of Calgary. So we have Airdrie, we have other small facilities outside. We've got Cochrane. We've got a number of groups that are around the campus.
Yeah, I kind of disagree that they're similar to us.
Okay.
They're much larger centers that are being compared, and so that's just my thoughts on that. So, and it's also been brought forward by the user groups that comparing, that's kind of like comparing apples to oranges when you're looking at the larger facilities.
Is something?
Yeah, please go with us.
So one of the things you have to remember when you're comparing facilities, so some of the facilities are run by societies. Okay, with the societies, a lot of them don't have the hours of operation that we do. They have one person operating. So their hours are not nearly the length that we put in for some of ours. So they could have a Saturday in there booked for half the day. Where some of ours will work booked for a lot longer hours. Makes for more staff and increases weather operation.
I don't disagree with that. I'm sure that that is the case, but when you're looking at Clarence on the River Nat, those arenas are quite well used. It's they're not run by a society, I know that. So thank you though.
Candace?
Just in response to that, so I have grown up with a lot of people in these communities and I still have good ties. So I have checked around about that. And I know Okotoks, their Faison Center, has only 2 arena guys all the time, except for when they have like their Oilers games, they have more people on staff to do cleaning and stuff. But there's only 2 staff members that are there working, and we have 2 staff members. So if they're running the Faison Center with only 2 arena maintenance people, that's still no more than what we have.
Plus that, so that's
But the Payson also has 2 arenas. They have the large arena where the Oilers play on, and they have their new one, the gold.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator O'Brien.
So we appreciate this, all this information. I think it's really good that we have this comparison. We do not do our rates at our budget time. Our rates typically come forward into the summer so that we set them for the next season, which will be the 2022-23 season. And I think that will give us some time to do some more valid research on what needs to happen for the rates. And have a report ready for council based on this information and the other information that was collected by the Parks and Arenas manager.
But it would, if we change the rates, it will affect the budget.
The rate changes occur for the season, and that's the way that it's always occurred. We do not anticipate a rate change for the 2022 season at budget time. It doesn't show up as revenue. It is additional. If there is a rate increase, it will show up as extra income from August, September, October, November, and December. So it's not part of the budget. The budget is based on revenue from the previous year. Because we can't anticipate if council is going to approve a rate change in July in budget.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions before? Yes, please go ahead.
I think Candace did a great job, you know, just looking at the books and stuff, and I totally understand that's how a business to run. The town's got a balance, and the facility's great, and we really appreciate it. I think maybe a bit of context on how the association thinks about the approach to minor hockey would be good is, and we've held our registration rates flat for as long as we could. We just recently had a 5% increase because, I mean, when Candace is saying we're running a breaking even or running a loss, we're typically running $10,000 to $15,000 loss a year. And so we've been pretty fortunate that we've had some donations along the way, and you know, we have a healthy bank account in and around $85,000. But you can see that if we're running a loss of $10,000 to $20,000 a year, that it starts to erode pretty quick. And we're fortunate that we apply for casinos and things of that nature, and we can get a cash injection every kind of 3 years of about $40,000. So that helps to kind of offset it in the interim. But I think, you know, understanding the sustainability of the association is probably the thing that's at most risk, simply because when we try to offset costs in other places, because and you would understand that of course this would be our biggest cost, but when we try to offset other costs to make it more sustainable and continue to pay the arena costs, we're really out of other areas to cut back in order to try to get closer to balance. So I think we're recognizing that there's businesses to run and taxes and where less is at. I fully grasp that. I think at the end of the day, it really is the sustainability of the association as well as skating, and then, you know, the loss of youth sports. And we have about 100 kids a year that play, and that fluctuates up and down, but we have seen a reduction in registration. That's typically because there are cheaper options available. So pond hockey has become something, and every family gets the opportunity and should have the right to pick where they play. But we've had people leave our association because they can afford to play pond hockey and they can comfortably afford to pay it, or they can't comfortably afford to pay the registration fees that we have. If we wanted to break even, we would have to charge, agnostic of level, we would have to charge every registrant an additional $300. So it just gets so punitive if we were to look at it from a break-even standpoint. And the flood times got brought in. I mean, absolutely. If we didn't have to pay the times that the Zamboni is on the ice, of course, that's going to go a long way. That's an extra $80 that the association wouldn't either have to charge the registrants or would go back to helping us get closer to breaking. We're absolutely not trying to make money. We are running loss. And at times it's concerning. So,
Thank you for your honesty and transparency.
thank you for that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Appreciate that.
And there's no question. Councilor Dunn.
Councilor Dunning, hot mic,
Yeah.
you're up.
Okay, thank you. I'm sure it's in here somewhere, or maybe we've discussed it in the past, and I'm not saying that the Hockey Association needs to do this, but I'm just curious, so what type of funding or what type of fundraising are they? I know I've seen bottle drives, all that kind of stuff. So in terms of numbers, what portion are your association already raising to try to offset this? So we have an idea. And you don't have to nail it down, but just ballpark figure on some of the fundraising efforts.
That's a great question. I think typically we run a tournament on what we call the Adam tournament, and we get a pretty good draw for that. And that's, other associations from around Black Diamond will come and facilitate a tournament. We can do some 50-50, we do some draws, and we can make money doing that. And that's typically in the 10 to, if it's a successful tournament, about 10 to 12. And so we do bring money in that way. The unfortunate part about the tournament is obviously COVID, and then this year, just because of still the challenges with COVID, we didn't get the opportunity to run that tournament. So we would typically do that. That's all volunteer. Everything that we make goes back into the association. We do facilitate different companies. I work for an oil and gas company in town, so where we can get donations from, we certainly try our best to go and do that. I think it has gotten harder to get funding now. Commodity prices where commodity prices are, there's absolutely potential that we could get more corporate sponsorship. Personally, going back into the community bottle drives and things of that nature, absolutely they work. But asking individuals to be sponsors at this point or to further donate is pretty challenging because everybody's kind of feeling the pinch these days. So we actually don't go into the community to facilitate, bringing in sort of fundraising or sponsorship that way. I think these are the people that typically live and play here. So everybody takes a family approach to this. And I think, volunteer within the association is really strong. It's all volunteer coaches. Like it really is 100% volunteer time. And we do have strong volunteer turnout. And so, hopefully it's something that we're going to try and do a really good job of this year is pounding the pavement, pounding on some doors and seeing if we can bring some money. But with commodity prices being where they were for a long time, a lot of that had dried up. So it was really just if we could get a tournament out and we get a couple of companies that people in the association work for that might say, hey, yeah, let's get a couple of dollars. But we're talking like 5 to 1,000. We're not talking $30,000 donations. So they're pretty small.
Does that answer your question, Councillor Dunning?
Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Candace?
I'd just like to elaborate on Blake's comment there. When we do have our fundraising or our tournaments, most time those funds actually go back into player development. So it's not even trying to offset our normal costs. This is to provide development for our players. So we'll have different associations come in, do goalie training, work with the kids, like checking clinics, all that kind of stuff. So again, it's kind of a part that we need to pay for, but it's not paying our initial costs to be on that ice surface.
Yes. Councillor Swanson.
I'd like to hear from the Foothills Figure Skating Club, if I could.
Yeah.
How is the Figure Skating Club managing the fees that are charged? And how is the Foothills Figure Skating Club doing regarding that? Are you losing members because of the fees? All the same kind of jobs that the Hockey Association is facing.
Yeah, I'm not sure numbers wise, percentages. All I can tell you is that the skating club is very small, and especially with COVID, we got very, very small, like bare bones. And in terms of fundraising, we have a very minimal board. We're scraping together enough parents to make a board, but fundraising is a priority for us because keeping our fees low is a priority. So we try to have a position on our board that's strictly fundraising. That person, their whole initiative is coming up with ideas. And it's a small club, and so our fundraising doesn't bring in a lot, but it's something that we do because we want kids to be skating, and our ice fees are the biggest cost. We also have to be coaches. So yeah, thank you.
Okay, if there isn't anything else, we've got some information. Thank you for bringing it in. Thank you for taking the time to put it together for us. I know that this is the rink and our ice fees have been brought to our attention before, so it's something that we'll definitely be looking at as we complete budgeting and we talk to our administration in the summer and our Parks and Rec bus. But we've definitely got a lot of stuff to look at, and I think with that being said, we thank you all for your time. We really appreciate the volunteer work that you put in. Thank you for, I'm sure the last couple of years have been a real struggle. So thanks for staying together and pushing through, and hopefully we can help you guys alleviate some of that pressure. See what we can do for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right.
You can have one.
Yeah.
Rest of the stuff.
Okay,
All right,
we're moving on.
we're moving on, and I think because Les is here, our first piece will be doing, as I kind of talked about earlier, we'll do the Parks and Rec and Arenas presentations. And Les can explain some of the pieces that are included in there. So that's the one in your operating presentation, Cheryl? The PowerPoint?
I
So
just have a
that one.
budget.
So if we go to, sure.
We're sure. Well, with the collar or a really nice sweater.
Councillor Dunning, can you see that?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Thank you. And then just scroll down till you hit 720. For those that brought their previous budget documents, it looks like you will be on slide. Yeah, they all have numbers.
The operating budget?
In the operating budget, please, yeah. 70. Slide number 70 is where this starts. So, if I can.
Yeah, that makes sense to get it.
Okay, sorry, where are we at? I know what you're saying.
If I can. It's on-
Yes.
Starting on slide 70.
Slide 70
Absolutely.
on this one, say over.
Yes, is that the, no, that's not the, you've got accounting 101.
Okay.
What you want is your operations.
Okay, let's figure this out. Operations proposed.
Oh, it's much smaller than. Oh, there it is. That's mine was not.
If you go to this one,
Oh, that's.
I got this.
this will you, that will have everything that Les has put on,
Okay,
okay?
I don't know.
There has been changes, but
This is all.
This will be the same thing. The numbers will be on the bottom. Will be the same. as what you-
Yes.
I don't.
Conservation.
Because this is the same one that we were.
Okay, which presentation?
Emails?
It's that one, this one, yes, yeah, and then it's on page 70.
Okay.
This is what you just gave us tonight.
Page 70.
It's past one.
Let's start it.
Okay.
Yeah, you started back. It's easier.
Did we get emailed?
A long time ago.
That's it.
All right, here we go. Let's go.
Yeah.
Bring it
Wait,
You're not.
It's too far better than parks.
It's
Recreation.
Recreation and culture first?
It's all part of the same.
Community garden.
there you are.
Okay, so this is it, okay. Okay, do you have this? Chief? I can help you. Yeah, parks.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Put that one on there. No. I can share with you if you want. Thanks, Shirley. Okay, here we go, Paul. You spin around, maybe. Yeah.
So if I can, now that we've all got the right pages, Les looks after a number of different budgets. Each one are separated out. So ORA is one, Scott Seaman is one, outdoor rink is one, parks are one. And I think you've also got sustainability in there, do you know?
Sustainability and community gardens
And community garden
and the mezzanine.
and the mezzanine, which is all part of our Parks and Recreation Department.
All right.
So there's a number of different facets that we'll be going through.
I'm not finding this recreation and culture page in my package.
But this
We're
one
gonna just, can you just go to the, we just slide down to the, want to start with our meeting?
to do that.
There, parks, I've got that one.
There you go. Let's start there. If you've got that one, then we'll just start there.
Are we gonna start parks? So-
What,
Yeah.
what page,
We're starting.
what page is that?
We're gonna be starting with parks in your PowerPoint presentation that was sent to you at the end of February. That was our last budget meeting that we had.
Department 7200.
Department 7200, so if you can pull F it on your stuff and you just do 7200, you should probably come up with parks.
It's
Okay,
the
thank you.
it's the ninth last page, Andrew, in this thing. I just counted backwards.
Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you.
Are you with us?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay,
I believe the floor is yours, Les.
so we do have. What they usually do, this. Been a little while. So we do end up with parks, basically most of the information, the money from parks is from taxes. Have some from reserves, there's a few number this year. There was a few big projects we're doing, plus there's some money that's going on some capital reserves. We also have internal transfers, and there's transfers from departments. So we pay on the internal transfers. We also get money back in. So we pay, gets some of the equipment. There's other things that we come back. I'm used to seeing more of a breakdown, so like I break mine down, so I have every column. But this is more of the summary. But like our salaries, we're doing 179,456.88. We're doing contracted So salaries, wages and benefits, so that's the salaries for all the staff. That's the benefits that we pay on their behalf. And there's also the town portion that's paid in there and WCB. There's a money that goes into all the different that paid out for the staff. Contracted services. Contracted services is different things hired for. So we hire to do hire for weed control. We hire for weed inspection. So some tree pruning that we have to contract out. So we have a lot of the bigger trees. We have to bring some of them where we don't have the equipment. That different portion, that one. There's our goods. There's our store of tools and small equipment. We need the items like that. So it's all broken down for our operation. So there's garbage bags, doggy butt dispenser bags, there's garbage cans, benches, picnic tables. There's the hand tools that we use. We've got trimmers every year, rakes, shovels. There's other, the equipment we need, the stuff we need to maintain equipment also. And like I said, our internal transfers are a lot larger this year, but we're trying to get our money put into our reserves to do different projects. So we have a larger amount of operational, and we want to lock it down to some of our capital reserves so that we can still have the money to do that.
Yeah, this isn't the same as what's up on the board that I've got this year's. Not see that one.
Is that not the same one?
It's not the same, the numbers add up to the bottom. Yeah, it's not the same.
Yeah, I just,
Yeah, go ahead, Shirley.
You're probably looking at the one that has more of a breakdown.
Yeah, travel, membership, prestige.
So it's all broken down. So this one is the summary of it. So there is a breakdown and it breaks it down into all the different aspects of the training. That's the one that I do. I do all that. Put all the details into that.
Makes sense.
179.
material numbers, so that's just the, you're saying just the total of the areas?
Okay.
So you're seeing.
All right.
So you see- you see my full breakdown. of everything.
We're seeing the full breakdown. Great, thank you.
Where I have, this is just on the board, it's just a summary.
Oh, yeah, sorry, go ahead. Your projected budget, transfer from reserves into the operating, it jumped to 244,000 this year. What project is that?
Part of that's for the refrigeration system, I guess.
Please.
The potential hypothetical pump track, bike track for the summer games, is that anywhere in this? Or is that a
And-
separate thing? In capital?
That when I put stuff in my capital budget, what we did is I've got 40,000 in there. I have 10,000 towards the development of 66.
Okay.
And I think it was 40.
40.
And 30,000 is towards the development for that bike track.
So it'll be, after it's completed, there'll be funds for operating and maintenance and stuff. Okay. Yep. Yep.
So you're putting 27,000 away for reserves,
Yes.
and then the jump is 2023, 2024, 2025, there's a substantial jump next year. Is that because you don't have a big capital budget, and you just really flush?
No, we have. So we have some capital projects that we keep deferring because we don't have funding for. They were things that were identified in our long-term capital. They have not ever been done because we have no funds for it. So they're starting to do more putting away of those funds to do that. We put more things away when we started looking at asset management. So all the different projects we have put away, we're now going to start putting some funding away for those.
I just wanted to speak to the revenue that comes in to Parks. Parks has a contract as the rest of the town for West End. That income actually comes from West End for doing maintenance on their property.
Sure.
Try to keep everything balanced. So. You want to go through the
Shirley, please.
One of the transfer things is there was a large amount in the parks, just general operating. So we took 200,000 out of there to put over the refrigeration because it's going to be a huge bill. So instead of just sitting in operation and just not being utilized.
Okay, thank you, Shirley. Councillor Vandenberg, has the refrigeration system already been quoted? And do we already know the price of what it's going to be?
We have an estimate of about 1.6 million.
Okay. And
I think with the reserves, I haven't seen the final, but we're going to be at about 700 and some thousand. That's still a little more. But once we get the refrigeration or the engineering done, I can use a more detail from the engineering to work on the grants. We should be able to get 50% grant.
is it going to be a full gut essentially? And then
Yes.
okay.
The indoor refrigeration system is way outdated. It's R22 and you can't really just change a piece because it's a different system altogether. So we have to change the compressor. When we change the compressor, the chiller has to be sized to it. The cooling tower has to be sized to it. So it's usually it's a good package.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you know that what you are replacing it?
Yes. We're trying to go with something that's a lot more efficient.
Okay.
So one we're trying to go with, it will have oilless, so it works off of magnetic field for the motors. We're looking at a plate feed exchanger because they're more efficient. We're looking at a thing called an adiabatic cooling tower.
Okay.
So a normal cooling tower that you use for these, there's an air model and there's air and water. The normal air and water, just shoot water down, it blows it up and use a bottle of water. The adiabatic uses water, but it runs down the inside, so you use a very small amount of water. We don't want to increase our water consumption that much.
No, of course.
I mean, the VFDs, there's different mounting and everything that'll have to be.
Okay. Yeah. So
Brendan,
we're almost not, yeah, sorry.
that's a total capital discussion.
Yes.
So regarding that,
Okay, so not for,
no, we're discussing operating right
okay,
now.
fair.
Sorry, Chad.
Sorry, I was just
We'll
curious
just
about
get, we'll just get to that when we get to the capital one.
Okay,
So-
all right. Thanks.
So, and I have some.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So, for contracted services, I see that our actual is, we budgeted in 2021, 45,719, and our actual was just above 28,000. And we're budgeting for 2022, 45,000 again, for contracted services. Is there a reason why we're budgeting that amount again?
There was some things that didn't happen last year with the way COVID hit us. And
Okay,
some of the things
that's
that
great.
changed.
That's super. And then equipment, RPR and maintenance, we budgeted 11.5 in 21. And we only spent just over 5, and we're budgeting 11.5 again across the board.
A lot of that is what it works out to be is we have our equipment we send in. And with some of the stuff that happened last year, we tried to cut because we had a lot less. Because of COVID, we had staff off for a while. We tried to cut things to keep our budgets down because of everything that was going on with COVID. Like I have the portal that has to go in to be worked on. I have a tool cat, and those didn't get sent in last year.
That's great.
So,
It's, I'm only asking that question
Yeah, oh,
because was just slightly over the 3%.
Yeah.
So if a reduction could be made of $500, say for equipment and RPR maintenance.
Yeah.
That would cover that. So I just would like to see this get under the 3% where possible. And I think that if you're talking to council, you can probably do that.
I have a question for Min. Was that 11,500? Would that have been the 2020 or 2019 number? Is that where that 11,500 would have come from?
Can I see your?
Because we don't have, just knowing where, like Heather said, like, you know, maybe they spent 12,000 a year before COVID hit, and
It can fluctuate every year
Yeah.
depending on what we have to get done with the business.
okay,
Yeah, if I can, 2021, 2020 and 2021, because of COVID, are both anomalies are in, and we were down staff. I don't know if council was aware of some of the challenges that we had gone through with our arenas and parks in 2020, 2021. So we didn't have the staff to be able to take the machinery in to deal with that kind of thing, and we didn't cut as much grass because we didn't have the proper equipment. So right now we're looking at, we would have to compare to 2019
okay,
to be able to ensure comparables from 2019 to 2022.
okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Because the 20 in all budgets you will see, and especially in rec, you will see a number of anomalies due to COVID.
So would it be fair to say 2019 was probably closer to 11,500?
I would be fair to say,
Yeah, okay, thank you. That, yeah.
and we
that is-
can get that confirmation for you.
Okay, great,
Yeah.
thank you.
There was, like you said, a few things that happened like in 2021. And following with the next one was 30 people out of parks.
Mhm.
And we essentially nice one started to open up to the rink. The only one working because two of the staff had to go over and the others were left. Right. I mean, we had them off for a while. We had another one got injured and was off for a month and a half, 2 months. We had one that's been off for the last over a year. So we've had some challenges.
Okay, thanks, Les. Yes, please go ahead.
I totally understand that COVID challenges. So, and
To budget.
and I'm not even looking at your wages and salaries when I'm talking about that.
Yeah.
I'm looking at these specific
Yes.
numbers on this side. So I just would like to see that get to under 3%. So
The second one. No.
that's just my thoughts on that parks
Then I have to drive.
budget.
Is there, in regards to the advertising in PR, Les, is there, you have 1,200 set aside, but you only spent 161? Is that something that you would see more of?
It can, that one can vary on each year,
Okay,
depending on what we have to number of staff.
okay. Oh, right, so for
So
advertising, for,
there's sometimes that we have to put out ads a number of times a year.
okay,
Other years we don't.
okay.
And it just affects.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Where did that $16,000 spent on foods? Contracted services for the arenas. Yeah, the security. Security.
That doesn't matter. It's just-
That gentleman was very nice. Right, Heather? He was a very nice gentleman, the security guard.
Super good.
Yeah, he was great.
I loved it.
This money from security actually came out of wages because we had
Okay.
people off this month.
Okay.
So we pulled and transferred money from wages to pay for the security.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, just, on some of these, I totally agree with Brandon. Like, if we can just take a look and, like, it's great that we've said 3% increase, but if we can try to keep to that, and I know that, like, we always end up with a pretty substantial surplus at the end of the year that we're transferring. So if we can just do a little better budgeting job getting closer to real numbers for each, because it's gonna get harder and harder as we move forward, especially with the economics that are going on in the world right now. So if we can just get closer budgeting, not to have such a big surplus, that would be a great thing.
Yeah, I think between the advertising and PR and the equipment, Heather, we could probably find $500 for half. Any questions? Sorry.
None.
Buried here. Okay.
Okay, are we good with the parks then?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, is everyone okay with that?
Is everybody
Yeah,
okay with that?
thanks, Les. Yeah, that was good.
Okay, so you want us to look at advertising and,
Yes, please. I think so. Is that fair?
advertising and the other piece was
Equipment.
Equipment?
RPR and maintenance.
equipment, okay.
Just to have
Listen.
another look at those and see if
Yep,
compared to 19 or 20.
yeah, we'll compare those to 19.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be great. Thank you. Excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we'll go into the next piece. I think.
The outdoor.
Yeah, 'cause
Okay, do you have the outdoor arena there?
every other number's pretty much bang.
I spend a lot of time with it.
Yeah, what? I can definitely see it here. Sorry, which one are we moving?
7202,
Thank you.
So it's the small outdoor arena.
small, yeah,
It's pretty simple. Yeah, we were under. Of course, if you compare last year, we didn't have it open for half of last year.
Right.
We kept it closed. Not this last season, but the season before. So we're back to pretty close to what we had prior to that. And a small increase for wages. Contracted services, we cleaned the boards on there. We didn't clean the boards last year because it wasn't used. They will be cleaning again this year. And insurance, there's not much we can do. Goods, it's just usually some goods for preparing boards. But like I said, last year was that anomaly again. The other one is the transfer to other departments, the 1666. That is for snow removal. That's from us resurfacing nights. We have to dump the snow out back of the arena. We don't have enough there. And we have to have a whole rate which is charged to each one of the rings.
Great.
It's pretty.
That one's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I
There's
don't
no
really
way.
see anywhere you can trim on that one.
Not so much, no.
Okay.
Scott's Haven. So we do get money from the franchise fee. So we still get some money for the operation from there. Rentals and the leases. Trying to remember what. Oh, I'm looking,
Good
sorry.
down.
I'm thinking the wrong thing. So that's what the revenue that we're getting from. We're still in revenue. Sorry about that. And then transfer from operating reserves. One of the things that didn't get corrected in here, we had lost the money from the Scott Team Sports from the operational end. We used to get money from them every year, 15 to 20,000. We didn't get anything last year. I was thinking of discontinuing. We had some people complaining to the Siemens that we weren't open. We didn't get any money from it. We didn't know if we ever would again, and we actually got 20,000 already from it. So that didn't get put into the budget. So that was,
So there's another 20 revenue.
right,
yes.
yeah,
That's the one.
yeah, so you'll see this, so typically we would have $15,000 budgeted for what we would get from the Scott Siemens Foundation grant, which is actually comes from, anyway, can't remember the name.
Calgary
The
Foundation.
Calgary Foundation. So then you'll see that it would, because it doesn't show in our actual revenue, we didn't get it last year. Maybe we'll have that showing in our 2021 revenue.
Okay. So wages, contributions, WCB. So they are close to what we were originally planning for. I said we're being closed, it was closed for part of the time as well. The start of the last year. Contracted services. We pay for IT. We don't have a lot of contracted services that the rink itself. Usually it's to do with maintenance on furnaces for our annual maintenance program. Building repair and maintenance. That's our fire extinguishers, our exit lights, exhaust fans, lighting for the ice. Normally we wouldn't have issues with lighting. The lighting they put over that outdoor rink is very poor quality. We've changed all our lights on the other buildings to LEDs. I haven't replaced them. This one was replaced in 2015. There's 28 fixtures. We've replaced 34 lights so far. There's still warranty, the warranty for 10 years. So it will be coming up after the end of next year. There's no more warranty and we'll be trying to replace them. If you replace them with something, you won't have to replace all the time.
Are they sodium based or are they LED?
LED. And it's very poor quality. When they built it, we put the roof on it. The one that went after that piece of it, I didn't agree with them, but they got those lights in. They are not good quality. I had the indoor ones replaced at the same time. Companies I wanted. I haven't had to replace one. Figured I won't have to replace any in there. Probably for another. That was done in 2015. We probably shouldn't have to change any of those until 2030. That is a very quality one. And that's also we have couple equipment maintenance repair. It's just any repairs on some of the things we have for that. We have to look at part of the tool cap and stuff around that facility for it. Equipment rental and lease, we rent a lift every year because we do a lot of our maintenance on the ceilings. We have, if there's any leaks, we try to patch the leaks. Check the solar, on the indoor. We repair our low ceiling, that's our insulation on the inside ring. We work on our belts for exhaust fans, our eaves troughs for any leaks, so we rent a lift. And we do a lot of those repairs ourselves. Insurance. As you can see, we thought we were going to be lower, but insurance is still fairly. It didn't change luckily too much. But our previously, we originally budgeted 14 last year, and it went up more than we expected. And prior to that, we were even less. Insurance is something that's out of our control. Goods, same idea. We have consumables, a lot of the different things: toilet paper, paper towel, our cleaning materials, everything in there. Fuel, that is mostly for propane because the Olympias run on propane. And of course, we have the lovely carbon tax. And the carbon tax is increased, and it's increased again the start of this year. So it will be higher this year as well. Our electric, our utilities, which are on this one as well. We have been able to keep them down compared to the past, but they are starting to go back up. So the T&D charges have gone up. For transmission and distribution, the cost for our electricity has dropped. We are on a long-term contract, which ends the end of next year. We're paying just under 5 cents a kilowatt for all municipal buildings.
Yeah, go ahead.
Through the chair. Last where would we see, oh, maybe it's on ORA, so that, what we're saving with the power bill for the windmill and the solar panels.
It's just kind of worked right into the budget so that it's helped reduce, like, it's helped us reduce the power we use.
Like, and would it be for all the rinks, basically?
Scott Seaman does have solar as well,
Okay,
and the ORA has a solar and wind.
okay.
So what that's done is helped with keeping our power down. With a lot of the other projects we've undertaken, we've kept our power down. If you looked at what we paid for power, what year was it? I think we were like about 20. Well, we compared it to 2013. We probably paid over 37,000 for our utilities on indoor, and we're still under 32.
It would really be nice to see that.
Okay.
Like, just to see that, just
I
for
can give you
general
some
interest, so that,
comparison. I can give you a breakdown of where it is, what's done with it. There's also a lot in there too, though, from what's happening with us doing other things to help. So the energy management system, like upgrading, when we change something out instead of the end of its life cycle, we're using high efficient. So it's affecting a lot of it. I can send you a copy of the report, and it shows the different utilities, and it shows the change in the
rebate that
utilities.
we get back,
I think
or how does that work? We're putting it into the grid,
it's called, well, there's two parts. We use some of it in the building.
Right.
And then in the summertime, we're selling it back to the grid.
okay,
Part of the stuff in the past, which was a challenge, is they only paid us for what we paid for our electricity.
okay,
We didn't get paid a lot. They're now paying us spot market. So last year, we averaged 9 cents a kilowatt, and we're paying just under 5.
Okay.
So it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
With us doing the low power, it's extended how long it is on our payback, but those costs are going up in the future. They're going to be going up.
yeah. Like, and then going back, like, we'll talk about it during the capital budget, but
Yeah.
when we do get this new refrigeration system going, that's going to also give
That's
us a
gonna
lot of
reduce
cost savings.
That's going to reduce
And
our
so-
electricity. Yeah.
That will reduce us going forward as well.
Yes.
That's great. Thank you.
So that's the
Insurance,
we have
utilities,
insurance, utilities, and
Transfers.
there's transfer to other departments. And then which we have for the other departments. Oh, Public Works again, and there's also money from the Green Reserve. So some of the savings we take from the arena, from the solar, from the LED lights, from the high efficiency stuff, is put in the Green Reserve. And the Green Reserve is set to do more projects. So we kind of self-fund some of our projects in the savings. And then, of course, future reserves. So we've been putting, we've had some left over, we're planning to put some more towards the refrigeration replacement. And we also put away every year for the Olympia replacements. So the Olympias, what we do with those is we change them, we replace them every 10 years. They're about $120,000 for a machine. So we put the money away, but we look after us a lot better than most places. Normally, a 10-year-old machine goes for less than $10,000. On average, we get around 30,000 for us because we maintain. After 11 years, we get nothing for them, and that's when the problems usually start to happen. So we try to replace them when we can get something back out of them. That's
Exactly.
about it on that.
That's so.
It's underneath.
So just to Shirley, so this budget, once you get that revenue in there
Yes.
of the $20,000,
Yes.
that will change that so that you're well below the 3%. Correct?
It's already under 3%.
Oh, okay, perfect. What am I thinking? So it'll be even more under.
Yes. Means we don't have to draw as much from reserve.
Shirley?
I'm usually hesitant to put in a budget donations because they're not guaranteed.
Right.
You know, it's like the same thing as him going as high as he can as to what his rentals are going to be. Well, that's or the fire department or anybody that brings in money. It's not guaranteed if it's not written in stone, like our utilities sort of thing.
We've already gotten that check.
So at this time, we could do that.
Yes, we got it this year.
Awesome. Okay.
I've got a question about the previous page under like the advertising part.
Which
So
department?
contracted services.
Which department?
So it's Scott Seaman. Please.
Okay.
Like, I think it's the first page of the Scott Seaman.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, so I'm just curious about, so across contracted services, there was a budget approval last year of 19,000. You spent 10,000 of that. I'm curious for the projected why it's going 45, 45, 16, 16. Was there something that happened?
Yes.
Okay,
So with that too, there's IT services. So we have to also replace computers every 5 years. So we budget more to replace computers in certain years.
okay,
We replaced 3 last year. We're supposed to be replacing 3 this year.
thanks, Les. That makes a lot of sense. And this is probably similar to what we talked about a second ago in regards to equipment repair and maintenance.
Yeah.
Last year was 10,000, but you only used 2,100. And then we're still looking at the same, it's roughly $11,000 moving ahead. Do you, again, I guess I'd ask for that 2019 number is probably.
Correct.
Yeah, it's probably somewhere in there.
Like we've already sent this year, we have to send these in for some work. And the one for the Scott Seaman has already gone in.
Okay,
And those bills add up. They can be smaller, they can be large.
right. Okay. Can you leave that there for a sec, Shirley? That's great. Is that what I just asked?
That's
Is
from
that 2019?
2016 to 2021, actuals, budgets,
Wow.
and over and unders.
Okay, so yeah, so it's fairly consistent, at least at 19 and 18, you're at 14,000,
Yeah.
so so COVID really,
Well, we tried to cut back and did some things that we didn't use the machine as much. We didn't send it in because we wanted to make sure we didn't have much revenue.
yeah,
So we tried to
Right.
cut things as much as we can. So we weren't going way over because of some of the other things that still happen.
yeah,
Something
Sure.
we can't control.
yeah, well done. Yeah, no, absolutely. That's, yeah, well done to you and your team, Les, because, yeah, the number's right there, 14. Okay, that's it for me on that one. Any other questions about this one, Chief? No? Okay. So we're going to oil fields?
We're going to oil field.
Okay. All right.
So we have this was the big one. So like there is some goods that we occasionally do sell. It's not huge anymore. It's minor. We do get some rental from the concession, which is in there. We do have our rentals in there. We do. We looked at last year. It's been a better year, but we're not quite what we were previous to COVID. We were still restricted on adult usage because of the RAP program. So that changed some things again for already. The grants, the conditional grant, so the MD of Foothills puts into our budget.
Sorry, before we go on to grants.
Yeah.
Are we being quite optimistic in our revenue for 2022? That's,
We were hoping for more than a normal year.
is that a normal year at that 239? Is that closer to a normal year?
And we were normally, we were up to, we were
232 in 2020.
Oh,
236.
okay,
Or sorry, 236, and then 228,
that's the,
230,
Yeah.
218.
That's normal.
Yeah, that's right. in-
so yeah, I just,
we just.
because you can't see the other numbers. Thank you for popping that up there. That's great.
We were hoping for a more normal. It didn't work out quite as well. We, with the REP program, we lost most of our news.
Yeah.
Because they weren't vaccinated, so they couldn't come in.
Yeah, it was unfortunate.
Okay. So the local grant or the conditional grant, that's the amount we get from the MD every year. So that varies every year. It goes off the percentage of youth from the MD in local sports. So we do an area residents, track how many youth in local sports, the figure skating and minor art, are from the MD, and that's the percentage they pay at just the operations. You don't put anything towards capital, so nothing towards reserves or anything.
And it's just the MD that contributes this.
Same as the Turner Valley Swimming Pool. The MD contributes to those operations as well.
Because it's a lot of MD.
Yeah.
Our MD usage is about 50%.
Yeah, I noticed that.
That's fairly high. Okay,
Sorry, the provincial grant ends. We don't show it in 22.
provincial grant,
The
Scott Seaman,
That
that's
was
only for the Scott Seaman.
grant's conditional, conditional grant to provincial for Oilfields Arena, 83, 313 and 21, but we don't show anything in.
Do you want me to either that, say or Charlotte? I'll let you, who's ever ready for it.
We had, because of COVID, the province gave us some,
Oh, that's what
that's
that
our
is.
COVID monies that we applied
Okay.
towards the operations of the
Thank you.
arena to be able to reduce the expenditures
That's
yeah,
great, thank you.
because we didn't have any
That's-
income coming in.
Yeah, great.
That money is gone. It will not be coming back.
I know now. I just wondered what it was.
COVID money.
Then we have transfers from operating reserve. So that's to help cover the shortfall of what we were to try to get to that 3%.
Okay.
Transfers from other departments. That's again to do with the green reserve because there's stuff that was done at the town office. And the Scott Seaman, it all goes through the ORA and then it's transferred to capital. The capital reserve. Wages, employee contributions, fairly close to what they previously were. We were down last year, but we took 16,000 because we had staff off for a month and a half, so started last year.
Yeah, they were in the layoff,
2.5
Well, yeah.
months.
2.5 months that they were laid off at the beginning of the year.
When they're laid off, do we still pay them?
No,
No, okay. They had to go, yeah, EI or whatever, serve or whatever.
So then there's travel and subsistence and membership conference and course fees. We also have that in parks and a lot of that's gone to training. Like you'll see last year, there's some that wasn't used.
Councilor Van Hook, why is the travel budget so much higher for this subdivision? 421, and what's it normally?
Which one?
It's
travel.
Travel and subsistence.
We knew we weren't gonna be able to go far. So we didn't, but people couldn't send people to courses.
Yeah.
So we dropped some of the stuff there.
It's fairly close, Chad.
Yeah.
Like it's fairly close. It's within the last, like from 16 to 19, it's within, $300.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
Sure.
You can see that, sorry.
Okay, postage and freight, we do spend some, but it's not always a lot. It can vary from year to year. There'll probably be more this year because of the increase to some of our rates that we get. A lot of the stuff that's included in the cost, so it's not separated out. So it just gets transferred through as the cost of that item. Internet, phone, and communication. So we dropped these ones.
No, that's,
We did,
we did.
Okay.
yeah, so it just didn't
Missed the note.
miss the note, that's all.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we've changed our phones too though, so we now have white phones.
yeah,
And
everybody's
of
on
course,
rates.
we have TELUS Internet, so that's increased it some. We also have to pay for a static IP. I also pay for an extra phone line because of the alarm system. It won't work over the voice one, it needs to be a dial-up line. So on our fire alarm system, we have an auto dialer. So if our alarms go off, it automatically calls the fire department. So there's an extra piece for the phone in that one. Advertising is that it can vary. We overspent last year because we lost a few people. Hopefully we won't.
Hopefully we won't run them. We got a good crew.
Huh?
We have a good crew.
Yes. Legal, we still keep legal in there. But we've had to use the legal we have to get a contract. We get legal advice on it and we have contracts with the users. So we do a contract with them every year. So they know at the start of the year what their cost for ice would be. We try to keep them informed of their costs, so if they have to adjust their rates. Contract services. So there's a lot of different pieces in that one. It's up this year because we actually had put extra into the security because we had security that started the year.
Is that the 16,000? 16,000.
Yep. Yep.
That one, you're not getting away from.
So it's been taken off the wages on the under contract services.
It was.
It was last.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
That was
I only see it when it's-
We didn't earn for that.
Yeah, no, but it's noted under wages
Yep.
addition and it's been taken up. Put in. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, good, thank you.
a lot of the rest of it, it's maintenance. We've got a garbage disposal. We have mats that get changed every week. Refrigeration maintenance contract, our booking software, we end up replacing doors and hardware. Seems like way more than I should have to. Board cleaning, alarm system maintenance and check, our maintenance on our automation system. It's a little higher, but they come in and go over the whole system every year for us. Make sure everything's still working. Here's a display and Visio. There's all the different pieces of all the checks we have to do every year. Just stay open, a lot of them are requirements by law. We have 2 projects this year. We don't have smoke detectors in the building while heat. And they are supposed to, with the alarm system, we've got 2 stairwells. There's supposed to be smoke detectors in the stairwells.
Yes, to go to the boys and
Boys and girls,
girls. One on each end.
one at each end. So they have to get put in this year. And there's.
The question.
Is that okay?
Yep.
Andrew? Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Dunning.
I just see the fire alarm and extinguisher check, 650, and then I see fire extinguisher check, 575, and then I see fire monitoring service. So is the fire alarm and the monitoring service, is that the same thing? And is the fire extinguisher check and the fire extinguisher check the same thing? Like, I just don't understand why seems like duplication, but it likely isn't, but maybe just an explanation.
So the fire alarm, and there's a separate extinguisher with the fire alarm system for the concession. There's also our fire extinguishers. The fire monitoring service is our alarm service for the dial out for our fire system. So if we get our bells ring or we get an alarm, it calls our monitoring station and call the fire department.
Okay, so in that concession, does that include the, I don't know if there is a saponification system over the fryer? Is that?
Yep.
Okay, all right. Okay, thanks.
And of course, we pay a bunch on our contract services to Bulletproof for their services. There's also, we have email on all our phones for all our staff. So that they have to look after that, our Net Shield agreement. We have a server connection to the town office. So a couple of things are gonna be, that's been the last year. I'm looking at the wrong one again.
No, the prices have increased a little bit in
But
all
some
of
of the
our
stuff
IT services. Yeah. All the way across the board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Building repair and maintenance, electrical callouts, lock for repairing locks, plumbing, sensor replacement, lift maintenance. We have an inspection on that one every year too. We have to get done. Go upstairs. There's stuff on door repairs. This is for our overhead doors. So anytime our overhead doors are used constantly, and it seems to break springs almost more than about once a year at least.
Really?
The gates, those doors for the overhead machine there, and chain.
Yep.
And in on a Sunday or a Saturday, that door is probably opened over 30 times. So they're constantly being open and closed during the weekend. It's worse. Yeah, there's a lot up and down. So.
Yeah, yeah.
Equipment repair and maintenance. That's some stuff for our floor scrubbers, some things for our refrigeration system. Also PA system, furnace repairs and parts, refrigeration callouts, sharpening blades. So we go through a blade a week on each machine. And we send them in, usually about once a month, we have a number of blades. We've changed companies because the one we use now is actually in Red Deer. And it's cheaper for us to use them, for them to come and get it, take them back, sharpen them, than it is to be local.
Seriously,
Seriously.
I'm ready.
Red Deer. Well, it's no different than the propane. We're getting our propane dealing with, they come to the site, so. Person to have to haul it somewhere else. If we have more than 5 tanks, you have to have the team, transportation dangerous goods. And the cost we were paying for our propane, even with us, we have to rent the tanks. We have a lot more tanks because we only come about once a month. Even with the cost of renting the tanks, we have to pay for in the summer. It's still cheaper than what we were paying to take them. The turn down and have to fill.
That is 3 on 100, 1,800. How much is leaving from the system?
We don't get much very often.
Yeah.
There is things where we've had it leak. If a fan goes, we've had a bracket on the fan go a few times. We replaced the umbrella. While they're about the cooling tower, we dropped into the cooling tower. A lot of times they'll have about 3 weeks. Okay. Normal year without issues, we usually don't have much to lose. We do lose a little bit, but it's not a large amount. What's cost of for anyone that's going to be insurance. You can see from this one, our insurance, last year we budgeted 26. 26,100, and the increase it brought it up to 40,026.
It's umbrella insurance.
Well, that's the.
It's a liability.
It's a liability, that's a
I was like, when I call somebody,
liability.
take them out. I don't even know. Yeah, there you go, okay.
Insurance, we have no control over. Goods, we try to trim the goods around some as well. We didn't use as much, so we trimmed it back as much as we could. There's a lot of things. We get documents, our supplies, our consumables, our cleaning materials. There's office supplies, there's staff appreciation, and there's tools. I was feeling we'll be making up for some of the shortfalls last year this year. So. And it's also technology, so the goods. Like I said, last year we replaced 3 computers. This year we replaced 3 more. One is a server. The server is our energy management system. And then the 2 office computers. So.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
For those computers, we all put away every year so that we have, so the money will be coming in from operating to replace those, so it's not coming from the bottom line. Other than the transferring.
Of course, gas and propane. It's a little more on this one. We do a lot longer season, so we're using a lot more propane. Of course, our carbon tax on propane and natural gas in the building is higher. Our utilities, we were expecting the increase last year. We didn't really get much, even though we used a lot less power, still had a higher bill. We had to try to cover. We had a big increase in natural gas. Our contract ended last November. We were paying $2 a gigajoule. Now paying $3.90 a gigajoule. So it adds up really quick. Transfers to other departments. That's our money for the server, and that's also the money that goes to public works for snow removal. Transfer to the budget, to the capital budget. That's for our Olympia, the refrigeration replacement, compressor overhaul, and also the green fund.
Can I say something about the Green Fund?
Yeah.
So I believe that Councillor Thompson had said that she wanted to see what kind of savings that go in, and because the way that we set up our system to the Green Fund, if you can go to just transfer to that one there, you'll see, so it's $12,000, almost $13,000 from all of the departments in 2021 that gets moved into the Green Fund in 2022. So that would have, we had $12,000 in savings.
From our solar systems.
Yep.
That's the solar system. That's all the different things we can and save us money.
Yeah.
And that's just the piece of the savings for the commodity. That's not for transmission distribution, which those things have also brought down. For electricity.
So it's going into a reserve instead of helping support local.
It's going into reserves to do more projects. Right?
And so in total, this one is over the 3% by 21,000.
Councillor Thompson?
I circled something here. It's over even with the transfer from operating reserve of 62,302.62. So
Yeah, go ahead.
If I gave you a thing this morning, or when I came down, overall, we are under 3% across the company.
I see that, and there are going to be departments that we just gotta bite the bullet. Arenas definitely aren't cheap to run.
Next.
You ready for the next one? You guys want to take a 5-minute break?
Sure, yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Okay, at 7:18, take a 5-minute break, please, next. Are we recording?
Yes.
Okay, I'll call the meeting back order at 7:30. And I will pass it straight back to Les. I believe.
Yep.
Cool.
Just keep talking on what.
Try to go back and find you.
Yeah.
Mm,
Are we on,
Community garden, 7207.
okay? Close up, Greg.
So community garden, really, we don't do much control on. It has to be totally void of municipal funds. So the sales of goods is for their rentals for the gardens. They do have operating reserves. They've got about 10,000 or something operating.
Yep.
reserves.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Welcome.
10 or 11.
So usually they end up putting more in. They do get some donations and grants and that every year too. Usually they do a plant sale and apply for XCSS funding, so they get a few different ones each year. They do a membership. I forget what the membership is.
Building resilience.
Building resilience communities, something, just of course. Contract services, that's hauling away the garbage, hauling away the compost back from the site. They have goods, they usually have a lot higher in goods, but they're doing things like trying to rebuild some garden beds. So they're getting materials to redo the beds. They do other supplies like garden hoses, tools, and everything else. They do some volunteer appreciation. And of course, there are the utilities. So utilities is for paying for the water. So there's a meter for that site. So they do pay for the water. So it's pretty straightforward. It's a zero balance. It's balanced budget. They end up going over and it needs more from reserves. A lot of times they usually have this, they pay more in reserves.
Can I just ask a curious question, Les?
Yep.
Why did the previous council approve $1,800 for postage and freight? And then you guys didn't end up using it?
I think it's their budget. It's their budget. It's just a little bit confusing to me. Why are we taking
Okay,
that?
so they were looking at.
Oh, it's their budget?
That's their budget.
Their
So
budget.
Oh,
what they were looking
so we
at.
can't do anything with this anyways?
Using
Oh,
Usually not.
They're.
okay.
We're just a holder of money.
They were gonna start replacing their garden boxes with recycled plastic.
Okay.
And the $1,800 was for free because the cost to bring it, haul it is very expensive.
Okay.
Because it's very heavy.
Okay.
And they're looking at, whatever, Beds are about 10 feet long, and they were looking at 2 by 12.
Okay,
And we started replacing a bunch of beds.
yeah, okay,
A lot of weight.
okay, awesome, thanks, Les. Okay, yeah. Any other questions about that?
We did supply the money. Then we put the meter in and out in the spring. For them.
Sure.
Yeah. We help them apply for grants.
Skateboard park.
Now we can talk about the good news. This is
Yeah.
another one that we're just holding money for.
So,
Oh,
Hayward Park, you're waiting on the plans.
Yeah.
The money is in there, they've got.
197 and change.
So as soon as they get the plans, then they have to put it out for tender.
Yeah.
We'll have to hire a contractor and get the skateboard park done.
okay,
They've done a fabulous job
He's
in fundraising.
yeah,
Amazing.
yeah,
done an amazing job.
Yeah.
They did get a grant for part of it. That was through the Oilfield Sports Association.
okay,
And he fundraised the matching part of it.
yeah,
Over
Collins,
the matching part of it.
This fundraising is visible throughout the community.
Mhm.
You can see in businesses, which shows the support for such activities. So kudos to them. And
he'll be coming to see us soon. Yeah.
Amazing with this stuff.
Not new to that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool too.
Which hit me because I just saw, I was gonna jump back to one other item though.
Which
Uh,
one?
I don't think we need to worry about pulling it up to the parks budget. So we did have money in the parks budget for work on the pump track. Because we have to do some work on the surfacing of it. We've also got Woodmaster Homes. He's going to donate material and he's going to try to get the equipment to re-expand the current pump track with the whole size. Already hauling material in.
Oh, that's incredible.
And they'll be, once we get warmer, he's gonna work on getting people with material to come over for his plans and they'll just do the basic form. And we'll get the other guys in to help finish it all off. So it's coming at a minimal charge to us.
is it going to be more challenging in a different setup, or is it going to be kind of the same thing?
It's gonna be kind of the same thing, but a lot, it's gonna be twice the size.
So the older group of kids will have a better.
You know, the older kids will have a. One of the things too with that, when if you're using that site for the summer games, the bike track, they'll probably use the pump track for the start set. So we have to go through pump track, and down the hill, down to the course, and back.
Okay, so to hurt myself on it.
Just walk it. It's not a condition.
Full commitment.
Wasn't it shown in the budget really?
Full commitment.
No.
It would have been,
And there's a number of different factors because the golf course is not being very nice right now.
Well, it could be,
No, they're not.
we could be doing it somewhere else if we don't get approvals.
Correct. It might be moving very quickly.
All their
Yeah.
promises
We'll talk
were
about
with
Deputy? Yeah.
both towns.
Okay.
About planning out.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Flavor,
I'd like to make a motion,
what would that be?
that we send, a congratulatory and thank you note to Master Homes for all their hard work
Yes.
on this project.
Please and thank you.
And Collins.
I think we need to send one to call.
No, this is separate.
Okay.
So I'm interfering with my motion.
That's all right. I'll shut up.
We can definitely make one to call too, though.
Okay.
Take another motion. But certainly one of the
Let's
Woodmasters.
pace ourselves, let's just catch. it.
Yeah, once we start dozing off again, we'll make one for caller.
The pump track?
Yes, please. Just a thank you to Woodmasters. Sorry, I
Oh,
interrupted your
friendly
motion.
amendment.
Is that Darren?
Friendly amendment.
Is that Darren?
Yeah, that's fair.
That's incredible. Thank you, Vern.
Well,
And thank you.
Whoever the last
Oh,
one.
yeah. Darren and Jennifer.
I'd like a vote on one.
Oh, of course. How silly of me. Would anyone like to speak to the motion?
I think it's great. I think it's a great idea.
Okay. Andrew, are you on board with us right now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all those in favor?
Andrew's good.
Carried unanimously. Thank you, Berta. No, just give her some.
See,
time.
you want this.
What? I can see Andrew.
Okay, sorry, last two have diverted. You're looking for a little. Yeah. And I definitely wondered, I didn't know about the Woodmasters thing until I saw it on Facebook. Okay, doesn't he?
This one,
Okay,
this one's a real simple one as well, so it's the rent that we charge to the mezzanine for Boys and Girls Club for using our stairs. Money from it, it's basically just divided, a piece of it goes towards utilities for the arena. That's one of the transfers in, and the rest of it goes to reserves. And it's a pretty simple budget.
Why is it going up almost double?
They came and they got a reduction in the rent because of COVID. Okay. So they only got charged half the rent. So it's going back to what it should have been.
that's good for us.
So,
Go ahead.
with the rental lease on this, have we, sorry, Shirley, can you show us the numbers from the previous years?
This one doesn't have it. I have to open it
Oh,
up. It's okay.
I just am wondering, is this about what they were paying like in 2020, 2019?
It's very close, yes. There's a little bit of an increase, but
So, and a little bit of increase would be for the power and
Utilities.
stuff,
Yeah.
power and utilities, okay, perfect.
So you can see that
Seconds.
Oh.
if I can, there's a transit. So you can see that, you know, it's 10,000 in 2017, 11,000 in 2018, stayed fairly consistent all the way through until, of course, the COVID drop in. Yeah.
Books.
So it's just basically a 3%.
3% increase.
Okay.
Yeah. Just pays for the increased cost of the utilities.
Yep.
That's all it does.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And they just painted it. Looks great up there.
And that's a contract.
did a good job working that.
Yeah. Was that at their own expense?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, wow, that's
They
great.
have done a number of renovations up there at their
Okay.
expense.
Wow.
They've added windows. So the windows that are on the east side.
Yeah.
Further down to the south, have a south window.
Okay.
Those were put in at their expense. They've redone the offices, they've repainted, they've redone flooring. They've done a number of things.
Wow. Bonus for us. That's great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Les.
Volunteer groups, well, that one isn't even a volunteer group, but, you know, the work that's been done by volunteers, even at Wellfields Arena is pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, my wife and like a couple of the moms were there to paint it over the weekend. We had a hockey tournament and it was like a great group of volunteers, it speaks to the group that we saw earlier, it could just not be, it would not be possible without volunteers.
Yeah.
So speaks a lot to the character of Black Diamond and surroundings.
Some of their funding some of their stuff that maybe they could tournaments. That's how the water fountain in the lobby was put in, and the skateboard ramp was some of the funding from some of the tournaments.
Wow, okay. Anything else on that one? Council?
I think that's all left, isn't it?
Campground?
Oh, sustainability.
Sustainability.
Oh, campground.
I've got campgrounds and the library, which is.
Campground's not yours. Okay.
Oh, right, that would be,
I'll take that. I'll take campground.
Shirley, go ahead.
For my slides that will come next or another day, I have from the community garden, they've done a blurb, and so has the Lions Club so that we know what they've done and because we don't have eyes on them all the time, so they just do a report every year for me to give to you, so that.
Great. We're
Sustainability.
thinking less. Set it for him.
One more.
Oh, one more.
Because
Excuse me. Okay.
sustainability.
Oh, sustainability. Okay. We're going way back. 6,400.
I think I have this.
It's going back to 64.
Yeah, we're backwards.
Okay.
Do you have to know?
Because the
your
way that you
values?
get that, you can get it in your accounting numbers.
Okay, got it.
You're in the 69, you gotta go 64.
Yes.
Explain this one to me.
Yes.
Sustainability.
Chapter 60.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right there. Okay. It's after
That's
60.
why
It's
this is here.
after 60.
Because Daryl's laughing.
No, I'm not. I don't find anyone that's one.
Separate the three of us.
Found it. It's after 69.
Council, please.
It's killing me. Big decisions.
Come back to order, please.
So,
Please, Les, take it away.
so for sustainability, so we do have to pull money from our operating reserves for it. Sales of goods and services, so we had money put in there. We're still working on it for doing our sustainability fair. So that would be from renting tables. So we didn't charge it the last year that we had it. We didn't charge any vendors for anything. We had it at Roma, so they kind of helped us quite a bit with that. Then we also have money coming from reserves, because we were trying to put, we'll get you a copy for, they were supposed to be doing a water conservation program. So with the water conservation was a lawn buyback program. For the little grass and replace it with a different material, sustainable type of gardeners, that sort of thing. We do quite a little bit in travel subsistence, membership conference. We try to send at least one person to a conference. The equipment rental is if we have to get tables and chairs and that.
Oh, yes, please go ahead.
So the transfer from operating reserves to the water conservation program, what is that?
So the whole.
As a resident, I don't think I've ever heard of it.
It was because it hasn't happened yet. It has
Okay.
to be passed by council. So it's a lawn buyback program. So the
Okay.
idea of it is to replace your lawn with other more sustainable items, which don't require the watering. So it's to help save some of that outside watering.
Okay,
I will send it to Charlene, so you guys will be able to vote on it, see if you want it to go through, and if not, we'll try something else.
Will this be a retroactive offer or new? Gotta ask.
You'll put them on and then put it all back. Just lays along over top.
I already did that.
Could I just ask for some clarity on that?
Yep.
So how does that program work?
So the idea is you
The-
get
the lo-
this much for replacing your grass and your front lawn with a more sustainable feature. So it's not just making a rock garden, making with sustainable plants, that sort of thing, things that don't require the watering that the lawn does.
Right.
It still has to be passed by.
And so
council.
how, is there? Oh, so is it any resident can apply for it, or how does that work?
Yes. Any resident. I don't have it in front of me, but it'll be something that will come to council for approval.
So interesting.
See you.
Sweet. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, just for clarity, so when we do budgets, we have to budget for the dollars. And then council can then have the option to approve or not approve that particular program that's going to be rolled out. This has been in the hopper, I believe sustainability's been talking about it for 2 or 3 years now, around this lawn buyback program. And then all of the details will be rolled out, the council agenda package near you on how the program will be rolled out.
So we're just approving the budget for it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So that doesn't seem like enough money.
Well, we don't want, we don't want to start too big. It's a smaller portion, but it's enough to try to help to make it worthwhile for people to do it.
Okay.
We're looking at trying to do the savings on our water bill.
We, in the same budget, we had,
We used to have a
Low flow.
Right.
So
And it
you
took-
get money towards replacing it, and that money will come off your utility bill. So this one is working the same way.
Oh, okay.
It took us about 10 years to get rid of our low flow monies.
the 5,000.
Well, we used that most,
Yeah,
we used that most of the new build houses, so it took a while.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Got you.
I remember 2 years was to do 7 properties, 7 or 10.
Yeah.
It wasn't expected to be a huge uptake the first year. That's fine.
Well, Irving Parker built there, even concrete factory.
Oh, jeez.
It's for front yards.
Well,
Pretty good.
Singer.
Put a shrubbery.
Yeah.
There's not a lot in that.
oh, yes.
He's not in
Yeah, you see California.
We're going to,
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah, so there's
That's it.
Les's.
thank you, Les.
Thank you, Les.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah. Okay, well,
So all this time I've had the consulting engineer on. I'm just gonna check with her and see if she's still on here.
Megan.
Yeah, Megan's been sitting on doing some other work, so. But she's been in attendance, so I'm just wondering if council is okay to kind of go through kind of a synopsis of what those infrastructure
Thank you, Les.
projects for
Thank you.
2022 are.
She's been sitting there this whole time, of course.
I can just take a bit of a jump on this, if that's okay with council members. Yeah.
Is that this one?
wow, so much easier.
Yeah, it's a really small one.
The color photos and the
Actually,
power cut triangles, and the power shapes, I mean.
Yeah, just do capital plan 2022, that's the PowerPoint.
which one, the first?
The first one, yeah, just do that one. I hope that's the one that's changed. Yep.
I'll look at the last page and see.
Yeah,
what-
let's just look at the last page and see.
Why isn't it coming out?
I have no idea.
There we go.
Okay,
Just
so,
2
this
seconds.
is- This is where we're spending the big.
Yeah. it's
yeah,
a big
it's
one.
changed, okay. All right, so just so that, Megan, are you with us?
Is that in here? That road is probably full of.
Well,
Here it is.
can she come in, are we allowed to bring her in?
Yeah.
So this
Okay.
one's behind.
That's it.
Right.
Well, they're already doing.
Hello, Megan.
She's muted.
Yeah, there she is.
How's everybody doing?
Okay, thanks for your patience.
No,
Okay,
just a section from the board.
so then if we can just kind of go at the top, this is not the full capital project or capital budget. This is just some of our ideas that we want to present to council for your consideration. All of our capital stuff that we have done comes from grants and or capital reserves that we've already saved for it. These are our infrastructure ones that we want to be presenting. It doesn't include the pump track, and it doesn't include, this is Tom, Megan, and Charlene show. That's the easiest way to say it. So basically, we have agreed, and it was agreed over the last few years, that all capital projects will be completed by year end of 2022. There's no point in carrying over a capital project into 2023 because your organization, just the whole dynamics of transferring a project from one corporate structure to another corporate structure for accounting purposes may be a bit challenging. Okay, so I just want to preface all of this out there, and so that's why these are kind of short-term projects. Is that fair enough to say? Okay. We also do not have guarantee of provincial funding past 2024 now. So our MSI's been cut, right? They've guaranteed it till 2024. There will be some sort of funds available, but we don't know what it looks like. The agreements haven't been signed, and nor have we been guaranteed anything. So therefore, long-term infrastructure projects are probably off the books after this year, until we figure out what's going on. Last year, in 2021, we completed 3rd Ave Southwest between 2nd and 3rd Street, included water, sanitary, storm, roads, and streetlights, and a wider sidewalk for the school. We completed the water looping project, which was a continuous water main, we'll call it, from 4th Avenue Southeast, underneath the highway, up to 1st Avenue Northeast. It's an oversized main and will help support development both on the east and west side of the community, and it also provides fire redundancy and meets the fire underwriter surveys. With that project, there was no water mains or sanitary mains along 1st Avenue Southeast. All of those residents on the south side of the road and a couple on the east side of Mountain View, the condos, I'll just call them the condos. They were all on septic and wells. They still have service by septic and wells, but all of those people or residents actually tied into the services, so they have services to property line. At this point, they had to pay for that themselves, but we completed the water and sewer on that particular road as well. The other piece that we did is we focused a little bit in 2021 on some stormwater projects. So we had an opportunity to partner with the Griffith Center for a swale. So in my little mappy things with this project, you'll see that there's some overland drainage issues, especially coming down Government Road South, going to Government Road North, pooling at the Vietnamese restaurant in front of the Griffith Center. And you'll also see that there's a significant amount of water that accumulates, like right at Subway. And then there's some other water that accumulates over on First. And there's fire trucks that come out and pump out and everything else like that. So we wanted to focus on that. So Griffith Center was paving their parking lots last year. So we were able to partner with them so that we could put a swale in the parking lot and the stormwater could start moving down, but that was only the first piece of the project. And so, is there anything else you want to add to that, Megan?
No, I think you described it well.
Okay. So first piece at council's consideration, and again, just so that you're all clear that this is all grant funded and reserve funded, right? So nothing will touch the tax base on these particular projects. We are looking at completing the lane drainage program project, which will be an asphalt lane from First Street southeast, so right behind where the town parking lot is, with the flags, down the alley and to the Griffith Center, so that the water can come off of Government Road through the Griffith Center, hit a concrete swale. It's kind of like pool, down the alley and then out to First by the parking lot and into the storm drain there. We anticipate that that project is going to cost us $123,000.
Is it possible, Charlene, to get a breakdown of how much would come out of reserves versus how much would be grants?
This one I will tell you is all grants.
This is all grants.
This
Okay,
is all
yeah, well,
grants.
that's great news.
Yeah.
If you could do that,
I can do that. Yeah,
Thank you very much.
yeah. Actually, you'll see most of this is all grants.
Okay,
All right,
makes it a lot easier for.
okay. Second, I have cul-de-sac through our storm. You got something there, Megan?
Yeah, I was just gonna mention about that, and I know it's probably been discussed with council before, but that drainage on Griffith Center and the lane requires like asphalt and concrete because it's so flat. So I know that lanes, you know, typically are gravel, and that there's, you know, usually maybe some pushback on paving. But the reason why it's proposed to be a concrete swale with asphalt is because it's so flat that's really the only way to get it to drain where we need it to go.
So we're thinking when you go to that east side of the parking lot.
Yep.
When you're leaving the parking lot on the back side to go into the alley.
Yep.
From there to the north side would be paved and a concrete swale. Like we wouldn't be paving the whole.
No.
Yeah,
So,
just
when
so
we
that's
go-
clear.
so, okay, so this is Esso. Let's put this in context.
Yeah.
This is Esso.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the trailer park. This is the alley.
Yeah.
So this is where the water pools. So what we're doing is we're moving water from the Griffith Center parking lot, this green arrow, through the alley and over here so that it goes into the culvert over the catch basin there.
Thank you, Charlene.
Are there actual drawings that we, sorry, yeah, thank you. Are there actual drawings that we, not that it would change, you know, our decision-making process here, but just out of interest sake, if there's some drawings that we can look at? Because this looks like a whole bunch of colors and stuff, and I get what you're getting at, but like actual plans.
Well, we do have, it will be going, if council approves the project, it has to go through detailed design. We don't normally provide detailed design to council because that's a, you know, an engineering public works kind of job to do. But if council wants to see detailed design drawings, I'm sure we can provide it, but there shouldn't, the challenge that we have, Councillor Dunning, is when we provide detailed design drawings, they're done by engineering firms, and it's challenging to have input from people on those particular drawings. So as long as you understand that, right?
Yeah, it's more out of interest sake. Like this to me doesn't show me anything other than someone went crazy with a crayon. So, and no offense to anybody, but that doesn't really show what's going on. But it's more out of interest sake.
Okay.
I'm really curious to see how that would look.
Okay.
And I definitely don't have an opinion on it because I'm not an engineer.
Okay.
Yeah, Andrew, thank you. I kind of agree. It's hard to see what's going on, even the GPS to pull up and have a look. So
Oh, yeah, I can do that.
clear. This isn't
Sure, this
very
is, but
clear.
this is
Concept.
this is concept. This is
Yeah.
for you guys to,
Yeah, no, I totally get that.
Yeah.
I totally do.
Yeah.
Just it's
when
because
you
it
go through
kind
the
of,
capital plan, you'll see this in more detail.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay, Councillor Vandenbroek has a question.
Yeah, does this include paving that parking lot? Is that gonna happen, or is it still gonna be a gravel?
It would still be gravel.
Would this plan, is what everything, this plan hinges on the fact that that is gravel parking, or lot, so that it can, so there's never gonna be a plan to ever really.
There might be some opportunities to clean up that parking lot, as we heard in the IUDC meeting, that that's a bit of a concern.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna have to balance that and see what we can, if there is something that we can do. The challenge with paving that parking lot is because the amount of water that goes there, and yeah, and you know, we'd have to do a French drain or something like that if we wanted to put something in there.
So yeah, again, if we did look at it later and it was paved, then a new plan would have to come together.
A new plan would have to come forward. Yeah, you got it. Yeah. Okay, so the next one that we're looking at, another, I guess we'll call them, is increasing the 2nd Avenue Northwest cul-de-sac. It's another place where there's significant amount of water that pools in the northwest section of town. So just for clarity, this is over at Willridge Park. And yeah, that's still northwest, isn't it? Yeah, that's northwest.
Yes, behind Saskatchewan.
It's behind, yeah. Thank you. You pointed over here. It's just like, oh my God, is Tom here? No. So it's by Willridge Park. There's a catch basin that's too small. And so the amount of drainage that goes down there, especially with the increased storms, is not sufficient to be able to support the new runoff that we're going to be getting. So we want to increase the size of that. Pardon?
It floods into that cul-de-sac every year.
It does.
Wow.
Yeah.
When you've got.
Rain. High waters, yeah. So we anticipate that total cost is 29,000. Again, that's all fully supported through grants.
All grants, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
This is one of our favorites. Overland drainage solution behind DQ. Megan, did you have something else to say about that? Sorry.
Nope.
Okay. The overland drainage solution behind Dairy Queen. So I'm gonna let you talk this one through because you will know this one way better than me.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the Dairy Queen, so basically when the Dairy Queen DP drawings came in, we reviewed them and noted that, like, typically when a development comes in, they have to take care of all the water on their property and make sure that they're not having water flow or changing anything beyond their boundaries. And when we were reviewing the drawings, we noted that because of the need to raise the whole site for floodplain reasons, there was a change in the flow of water off through that site. So there currently is a low spot in the alley behind Dairy Queen, where it's included in people's backyards. So there's a low point right now, but prior to the Dairy Queen being built, it would actually drain north to the highway and away. Because Dairy Queen got built up, that water now doesn't have that outlet to go anywhere. And so we noted that there'd probably be more ponding in the alley behind the Dairy Queen and potentially into people's yards. So we had some look at what could happen there. And basically the water is coming all from the south along the highway, and then down First Avenue and then through people's backyards. And because we're actually doing potentially doing First Avenue if it moves forward, through doing the project on First Avenue, we're actually raising the road up a bit. So water that's coming from the south won't go to the north during most storm events. But so that prevents some of the water that is typically right now going through that area from going there. And so basically the water is really just in people's backyards and from the alley behind the Dairy Queen. So we're expecting that in terms of what the town is responsible for is their public land. So if the town grades the alley so that it's higher, then you're not getting water coming off the alley into people's yards. But just noting that by doing that, the people whose yards were actually flowing through the public right away won't have that outlet anymore. So they will have potentially some more ponding in their yards, but the town would have taken care of what they're responsible for, or what you're responsible for. If that makes sense. Does that make sense? It's very complicated.
Overland flooding, just what ends up happening, high water events, comes down 3rd Street, hits 1st Street. There's some low points, and it's also on a hill. So there's some low points coming down, we'll call it the Moorfield Fun School area, down the hill into people's backyards. That's what happens now. It was fine until Dairy Queen was built, because there was a path for that water to go into the storm system. There is no longer a path for that water to go. Therefore, we need to do some work on 1st. So it's 1st Street South, 1st Avenue Southwest, and as well as the alley, to be able to move the water somewhere else so it's not impeding on people's private property.
Yes.
Is this a reaction? So is this plan? Was this all part of the Dairy Queen? We build this up, then we have to do this. We saw that coming, or is this we did the Dairy Queen, or we approved the Dairy Queen thing, and this is a result of that? We didn't think of that, and now we have to fix it.
It's the latter.
Okay, and that's kind of why I like to see a little bit more detailed drawings other than these maps and stuff when we start talking about other things. And like I said, I'm not an engineer. But to get a better understanding, if we're going to approve these projects, I don't want to have created an issue and then have it come back on, like this was the previous council that approved the Dairy Queen the way it was, and or whatever the license was for it or whatever. But to have the same situation happen with another thing, and I don't know why you're smiling, but that's good.
I was smiling at Veronica.
Sorry, she likes me.
She makes me happy too.
Okay, so anyway, we need to do some work in that alley to be able to move the water so that it doesn't impede on other people's properties. Next one would be, oh, yes, Veronica.
If this is approved as part of the capital budget, when would work start? When could work start? When will work start?
Good water's not.
If I could be dead honest with you, we've got quotes now.
Sure, we're ready.
To start. Yeah. Yeah.
Before May, June?
If council wants to approve the capital budget, and this one will not have, this will not have a design to it.
No.
This one will have, it's construction and Jersey barriers and all kinds of different pieces to that, because there's a grading option that we're looking at with an invert in the alley to move water, not paved, but gravelled, so that the water actually has somewhere to go. And it could happen as early as the ground thaws.
Okay, thank you.
That's where the problem is.
What's going on here?
That's where the problem is. So this is our big.
Shortly, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Councillor Dunning, you were looking for like drawings. Would it help to even just show it on a Google map? Like if I showed the aerial and like where the water is coming from, would that be helpful?
Yeah. Yes, I might have been using the wrong term as in drawings because, like I said, I'm not an engineer, but just to understand, just to get a grasp on it and just have a better understanding. Thank you.
Do you have GIS up, Megan, that you want to share?
Well, yeah, I was trying to log in. I got a new computer, so I don't have the GIS link right away, but I just pulled up Google and can show that way if that works.
Yeah, I could probably log into GIS in here, but there's a lot of people at the other computer.
Okay. Verna, can I share my screen, please?
No.
And hi.
No.
No, I can't make you a presenter.
What's that?
I can't make you a presenter.
Oh, okay.
Okay, can I come over then?
I'll leave.
Just so that we can, don't leave. You can't.
I'm out. Done.
I got these ones. No, I was really excited about tonight. Other than the delegation, which I.
Yeah, I was surprised. Walked in late.
Oh, shit, I'm sorry.
Wow, look at all those circles going. Should be okay. Are you good seeing the screen, Andrew and Megan?
Yep.
Okay,
Yes, you can see it. Yeah, I can see it.
okay, perfect. They are, I took them from the, well, they're GIS and LiDAR screens, so let's go to our site over here that's impacted. So if we talk about the drain issues, I've got to make this a little bit smaller. So currently, water is, can you see my mouse?
Yeah.
Okay, so water's coming down 3rd Street Southwest, hitting 1st Street, jumping the curve over here, draining through this little white house, in through these backyards, and into the alley. Before there was a building, it would go down here, tie into the storm sewer, and out to the river it would go. That make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
So what's happened is this 3 squares here, where my cursor is,
Yeah.
these rectangles have built up. And so this water, when it comes down here, has nowhere to,
Nowhere to go, so it pools.
pardon?
It has nowhere to go, so it pools there
You
in those
got it.
yards.
It will be flowing in those
Okay.
yards. So upgrading
Okay.
the alley here to move the water from the yards down here to 4th Street and then into the catch basin that's right here on the corner.
Okay.
Okay?
And that's a $21,000 job.
Yeah. And it might be
And-
less.
Okay.
Charlene, I'll also
So-
mention. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Megan. I was just going to ask. So basically, we're building up the alley. So how do you have to build up the yard to make the water come out of the yards into to that first alley, and then it'll go down the alley and then back over to 1st Street. If you build it up, then it'll just.
That, yeah. So I just wanted to mention that is the case, is that because those yards are low, the water won't be able to flow as easily as it used to away. So like once it reaches the alley, it'll go west down the alley to 4th Street, but there's still about a 0.7 meter drop, like 2 feet into their yards. And so the town, in terms of responsibility, the town's responsible for your like public right away, and that's why development like rules are in place to prevent that. But you know, back in the day, that wasn't the case, and so everyone's responsible for their own private property. But it's just something to note that by taking care of the town's drainage, there may be more ponding in those people's yards.
But we have to go to the next project to understand the whole concept of this. Okay? So the big project, can you see the slide?
Yes.
Okay. So the big project, so this is actually a copy of our GIS map, and it's because we're talking about infrastructure. The blue lines that you'll see in the map are actually water mains. The orange lines are actually sewer mains. Okay, just so that I can explain what those dots are. And then you will see little triangles, and those are valves that turn the water system on and off. So First Avenue Southwest construction from 5th Street to 3rd Street went to design last year. Okay, the reason why this project, it moved up in our asset management program, because there was a number of water leaks on sorry, that says 1st Street, but it's supposed to be 1st Ave. That's why Tom gets really concerned when I write things out. Making this a higher priority. Leaks have occurred on this particular main, so going from 3rd Street to 1st Street in 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, we had to do a valve repair. And currently the 4 little valves that you see at the top of Ford Street and 1st Avenue Southwest are all turned off because they're leaking.
Oh, wow.
So this project kind of raised up on our profile for construction jobs. So that's why I went for design last year. When we do these jobs, it will include water, sewer, road replacements, ag street lights with the illuminating engineered standards. So there'll be increased street lights on that road. Valve replacements on Ford Street. And it will also include a water main installation from 4th Street Southwest, from the alley to 1st Street Southwest. Now I'm going to go back to our GIS. Okay. So if I look at, and I'm just going to put some fancy little things on here for you guys to see. And we won't tell anybody I know how to do this stuff. There's our water mains. Okay, can you see that?
Yep.
All right, so you will see that there is at Dairy Queen, there's a little square of stop, it's a cap on a water main that stops at Dairy Queen. In 2020, there was a minor project because of frozen water lines at this particular house where my and this particular house here. So this place had frozen water lines. And so what the solution was, because it was only a service main that actually connected them to from 1st Avenue Southwest to this house and to this house. Okay? Are you following what I'm saying now? Just a service. So we extended this pipe up to the alley here, so these people could get water. This house here is serviced by this main over here. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to continue this pipe all the way up to here to provide redundancy in the system. Okay, you have questions?
We don't see one.
Okay. Is that a stub?
That's a stub coming out of there. We need to go into detailed design in there because they do have sewer services, but somehow it's not connected to our GIS. Okay.
So when you peel it all water in,
maybe we'll find that there's some other, there might be some other things there. Yeah. 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 We don't know what happens when we dig in the ground. So that's the rationale for this road to be moved up, fix these valves. Currently, we believe that we've got a leak somewhere in here. We're going to get this guy fixed as soon as the road thaws, and then hopefully we will have reduced water capacity again. This will also provide redundancy for the business community here, so that if we turn off, if something happens to this main in here, which is not in very good shape, and we turn off the valves, then this particular business goes out of water without putting this particular pipe in. Okay? Is all of that making sense so far?
Yeah.
Okay,
Perfect sense.
perfect sense? Okay, so that's
Yep.
put this capital, now I want to go to the storm piece of this. So
Oh.
after, but, go
Sorry,
ahead, Nick.
Charlene, can I add two things?
Sure,
Please?
go ahead.
Okay. One is that redundancy in the water line we're expecting will also help with the fire flow in that area. When we looked at the downtown plan, as part of the downtown plan, we were looking at fire flow and it's lower in that area. And so we're expecting that connection will help with that. And then also just clarifying that First Avenue Southwest would be paved as part of this project and 4th Street will not. So it'll stay gravel.
Is that fourth or fourth?
Fourth.
Fourth.
And those are staying gravel because we're still waiting on other infrastructure. Is that correct?
That's correct. And right now, we don't have the funding to be able to potentially pay. The cost of asphalt has gone through the roof this year.
Yeah.
Significantly.
Okay.
So, if the other piece, and we're gonna go back to the storm piece. As we do First Avenue Southwest, because it's sanitary, water, and road. The road will be built up in this particular area. So with the road being built up, and curb and gutter put in, we anticipate that the water from Third will come down. You following my cursor?
Yeah.
And down here, down here, and then there's a catch basin. So it will go into the catch basin there, eliminating the excess water that jumps the curve over here and goes into these people's property. So we have to just kind of put it all in context. So that's
Okay.
the plan forward for that particular area. Did I explain it okay?
Yeah, it's obviously
Yeah.
hard to understand how much water is gonna be diverted. But you wouldn't want to make it a mute point, putting that catch basin in behind Dairy Queen for no reason. Right? Like,
Correct.
yeah,
Correct.
because if you divert all the water, which I don't think would happen, then that catch basin would just be there.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Correct.
Okay.
So.
So just to be clear, I did have a question. Sorry to interrupt you. There's a bit of a delay, so I apologize for speaking over you. Yeah, so both of those remedies are inclusive with the $21,000 budget. Is that correct?
No.
One's
No.
one, one's the other.
The one that you see on the screen right now.
Yep, I see it. Okay.
Yep. You can add the 21 to that and you know, but basically the big 2-block road radius that we're looking at redoing to be able to address the water leaks is 1.7 million.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And again, this is all grant.
Okay, is this where we ask for a question now? Councilor Bain, go ahead.
How much of an effect is this gonna have on access to the Dairy Queen and also to the houses along number 4 Street?
What do you mean? How much? What kind of impact of access are they going to be? It'll just be, you know, probably 3-4 weeks of construction season.
And will people be able to get access to the Dairy Queen and
Yeah.
also to their own houses?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Oh, and they'll still have their garbage picked up, and
okay.
all of those things will all still happen. You know, we do things like that to be able to make sure, you know, if there's some challenges, And even if we have curbside, you know, recycling and what's the other, organics, that'll still occur. Like if we go down that path, there's still opportunities for all of the services that we have
Okay.
for
thank you.
people to do. Yeah.
So in the construction tender, we asked that the contractor doesn't limit access to people's driveways for more than, 48 hours, and that they give notice. But because this is a gridded street, so there's lots of different ways to access people's houses and ensure that there's garbage pickup as well.
How about the Dairy Queen?
Jeez.
You can,
Occupant business.
we can access it off of Center.
We're gonna be able to get ice cream down. He's got quite a big. Okay.
You can access it right off the highway. It's not like all of that stuff right off the highway is gonna be, you can walk there.
You don't have to do that.
He's specifically talking about not getting.
I'm good on that.
through there.
Can I ask a question about this project?
Yep.
Could we get a quote on paving 4th Street along with this project?
Yep.
Is that?
Yep.
Like, would it be too late to investigate that?
I don't think so. Megan?
No, I think we originally had looked at that when the Dairy Queen was going in.
Right.
So I was gonna find the quote and then add a big chunk of change to it just because of the prices of asphalt this year.
Right. Yeah.
So it is asphalt though, so they'll have the machines and everything in the area, so that's a huge cost to
Yeah,
be able to use it while it's there.
yeah, that's right. We could doing it at the same time is there's cost savings there too.
We ask for the whole length for it. Do its terminus at the high
It's
school.
silly just to do.
Well, at least to what?
Well, the quote,
But
Get the quote.
We know at least, we have the information.
Cool, to at least the high school.
well, at the end of the road,
I mean, yeah, why do,
the whole thing.
you know what?
It's already there.
Two's better than, or three's better than two, so it's.
It's already there.
And if we don't do the whole thing, that road is the lowest priority now.
Turner Valley complains about how we don't pave on roads.
Let's not talk about
Yeah,
that.
Turner Valley.
So
We're paving our alleyways, all right?
You know what? We're gonna pave some people's alleys, and then we're gonna pave 4th Street's alley, not 4th Street, but the alley after it, we're paving that, for sure, and then my alley.
Do you have a question, Heather?
I'm good with.
If we could just get a quote, that'd be great. Please and thank you.
Okay, Megan, you got something there?
yeah, sorry, I missed a bit of that. So we talked about getting a quote for paving 4th Street from First Avenue to Center. And then was there another
Yeah.
area?
Go all the way up to Third,
It's entire.
the whole thing.
Let me look at this for a second.
Right?
Oh, up to Third where? Oh, up Third as well.
Yeah, to Oil Fields High School.
Oh, okay.
I'll have to look at it.
Okay, yeah, we can
Yeah,
put some together. for sure.
Look at it because I don't think that's, yeah, we'll look.
Thank you.
No
Thank you.
problem.
Thank you very much.
So that's what we're looking at for there. Now, this particular project will take our 2022 MSI and our 2023 MSI to make, and it'll be pre-spent. There will be no grants available after 2023 because this would pre-spend everything.
Not combine some capital reserves.
Yeah, we could do that. We haven't put everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We can, because this is the first time you're seeing this. And so there's a lot of other pieces that you need to think about. That's why I kind of want to get this pieces so you can percolate. So our next project is going to be, this is all grants as well. finally completion of the park, what, I'm sorry,
2/3, 1/3.
oh, 2/3, 1/3. And the money's in reserves, the 1/3 money's in reserves already and has been since 2019. So, and I gave some backstory on this one, for especially new council members that might not have known all the backstory on the completion or the park and ride. So in 2019, we were approved for a grant. It was a shared grant at one point in time. It included transit budgets, a park and ride facility, and a storage yard. The storage yard will not be moving ahead. We're trying to utilize the remaining amount of monies that we have in our grant to complete the park and ride facility. It is anticipated for full completion in 2022. The delivery of the washroom will be occurring end of April. And so it's completed, it's built, and it's going to be leaving its current factory, I think the 12th of April. Then getting up here, and then at that point in time, we have some other work that we need to do to facilitate the placement of the building. We need to do some more electrical conduit that we need to put in. While we're doing the electrical conduit, we have requested, because we're just doing this, increase the size of the cable to be able to support the EV charging stations. And we're trying to put that in as part of this grant project so that it doesn't impact any other dollars to if we move ahead with this EV charging station. It will include, and then that project will be complete. Yeah.
Question.
Go ahead.
So the survey that's currently online regarding the finishing of it and aesthetics, how's the uptake on that survey been?
The uptake on the survey for the day use area?
Yes.
It's been very, very good. I don't have the stats right now, but there has been pieces of it that has exceeded some of our
That's excellent.
Loving it.
Yeah. Another project that we are going to be completing in 2022, basically, we had a supply issue, which created some challenges. I'm sure everybody has seen the new front sidewalk with the railings that got installed end of January. The only pieces left to do now is install our benches and our bike racks, and our sod and our landscaping. And I have contacted the firm, and they said the first sod is ready. When the first sod is ready, it will be ours. Anticipate the end of April for the start, not necessarily the full completion, but by the time we hit mid-May, end of May, in the rainy season, it should be done.
Councillor Thompson.
I just was wondering if we were gonna go with the sustainable landscaping and all.
Apply for grants.
Yes, we are actually. And so just keep in mind that we are going with sustainable landscaping in the front, so all of our plants and our plantings will all be drought resistant. We don't have any irrigation here, and we don't have any bonuses or taxes.
That's not at all.
Basically, we need to do, so it's a very big open space, and we need to do something around weed control.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a low tolerance grass, water drought resistant grass that we're getting as well. The other thing that's happened, just so that for council's information, is we've got a couple other stray projects that we're looking at as part of our municipal sustainability program, which is capital funding for COVID. We had some extra money, so our capital funding for COVID monies went to that block of 3rd Avenue Southwest between 3rd and 2nd. At the school. By the school. So that was our shovel-ready COVID monies that did that block. We had a remaining amount of $63,000 after that project. It's not enough to pave anything, it's not enough to do a lot of other things. But what we can do is.
Love it.
Pardon?
I love it.
Signalization at the crosswalk at the campground to the park and ride. So that will include push button pedestrian signalization and a rolled curb to connect the side, the crosswalk to the path.
Similar crosswalk like up at Tim Hortons, not the overhead one, like just the ones that are on the side.
Similar to Tim Hortons.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Crosswalk extension on 4th Street Southwest, which is a council decision to well, that one's this way. At 4th Street and, no, 4th Avenue and 1st Street Southwest. There was an extension of a curb that needed to be done to make its way to McLaren, curb sidewalk, and as well as a pedestrian crosswalk. So we're going to throw that in there, or we did throw that in there. We also need some rolled accessible curbs at Fascans at 4A Street, Northwest at Center, to tie in the park and ride and that whole block to make that more accessible and easy for people to get to. So we anticipate that that's going to be in around $6,000, and other sidewalk upgrades and new sidewalk infrastructure in about 30 grand. That's only if the ministry extends our MSP. Some of those other projects are in the budget, but it, like I said, it will reduce both capital and operating sidewalk repairs if we get the grant extension.
Do you know when that will happen?
I put in, when did I put in a request to 3 weeks as well? Last week.
Last week.
Just put in there last week.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The school's the one I really want to. Yeah, like that 4th. That's yeah, that one would be good because there's been, I get a lot of messages about those calls there.
So that's the first shot of your capital planning. Megan, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I'm sorry, can I clarify again that paving on 3rd, was that 3rd Avenue Southwest on the north side of the school? Or 3rd Street?
Oh.
Yes.
Do you want me to go back on my GIS and show you?
Yes, please.
Okay.
I pulled up the infrastructure assessment that's got the condition information on all the infrastructure in that area, and so.
Yeah, I don't think it's on our hit list. But you know, I could be totally. Okay, you follow where my cursor is?
Yeah.
Okay, so it starts here at, DQ site. And pavement all the way.
Oh,
up.
down to 3rd. Oh, I gotcha. Okay.
It's a long road.
That's,
Yeah.
2 quotes.
Yeah, 2 quotes. One just for like the DQ portion, right?
Mhm.
And then the second quote for the whole road.
Because the second quote's gonna have excavation and replacement. We're already digging up the first part of this.
Correct.
Is on top.
All of 4th Street Southwest.
We're just not,
3 blocks.
we do not want to, well, I do not want to replace like with like on the DQ part. I'd like to, if we're tearing that up, place the water right into the alleyway and then pavement on top. Everything's already right there. Machine wise.
Is because of the cost of paving, and I don't know if this is a crazy question, but is chipping an option?
Chip sealing?
Chip seal, it could be. We could talk to the contractors about it. As an option and see if there's any difference in like what the price difference could be. And I was just looking at 4th Street, like further south, there are some utilities under there that are kind of close to the end of their life. So it just may be a consideration in terms of if you pave it, and those utilities need to be replaced, then you're ripping up that road again. So just something to consider there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, this isn't gonna tell me the years. I gotta use my special one. Oops. So, yeah, and you know, one of the other things that we need to consider, and Councillor Kloiber, I just want to point out that again, we may have to look at the actual drawings, but it looks like we're also without a water line between First Avenue Southwest on 4th to 18 Avenue. So their water, we have to look and see where they're getting their water from, because it looks like First is getting it from there. And it looks like there's a bit of a gap in there somewhere.
Yeah, depending on what the condition of the infrastructure is underground. If it's a mess and it's gonna be another million to repair or replace, then clearly we won't pay.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. You get all that, Megan?
Yes, yeah. So it looks like the water line that exists there, like the portion of the water line that's there, out of a 5 being really bad, 1 being great, it's a 3. If expected to be a 3 in terms of condition. And then sanitary, it looks like is in pretty good shape, with just a little chunk that's a 3 at the south end.
At the south end by the school?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
It all needs to be replaced.
Yeah, I mean, even if, yeah, chip seal wouldn't be terrible for that.
Yeah, and we'll take a look at some options. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks, Megan.
Yeah, no problem.
To add, but-
So did you get all of the confirmations and clarity that we needed?
I did. Thank you very much for doing that. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Thanks, Megan.
Just to council an idea, before you go, Megan, the First Avenue Southwest project escalated by $333,000 in a month. So,
Yeah, I mean,
so there might be some options that we might want to look at.
yeah.
Okay. Just so that's.
Yeah, the problem I see there is that I don't think the prices are gonna go back down. So, you know, are we gonna do it now and accept the prices, or do we wait, you know, like everyone waited last year for lumber? You know, oh, I think lumber will go down, and then we're right back to where it was, you know, and then so it's difficult to sit.
Yep.
and wait.
I understand.
Yeah, thanks, Shirley. Yeah.
Can I just add one more thing, just related to that? If that's okay.
Yeah, please do.
Is the something, you know, if council decides to proceed with this project, we would go to tender, but I'm hearing from contractors that there could be delays in materials. Some are not gonna be able to get pipe until August, and so that's just a risk that may come up through tendering that we'll address at that time, but just a heads up on that too.
So is that a commodity issue? Then the price will go up if we wait longer? We wouldn't be able to lock it in?
It's hard to say, like what was mentioned before about what's going to happen. It just keeps going up really quickly, and contractors are trying to secure materials. It sounds like right now when I talk to contractors, the bigger pipe is an issue, but kind of all pipe and asphalt is expensive, and pipe's hard to get. And so, yeah, it's really hard to know, you know, what's going to happen, or if you wait, or if you do it now.
So I guess my question is, if we get an accepted, or they put in a bid and we go for it, and then it doesn't happen till August, and by then the prices have gone up, and now
Oh,
they're saying, wait a sec, we got scope creep. So because it's a commodity issue.
Yeah, that's a good point. Contractors are suggesting that we have like a price increase in the tender to accommodate for that. Because usually you lock them in, like whatever price they put in, that's the price. But it puts all the risk on the contractor, and because of the fluctuating prices, they're concerned about that. Though then by including something in the tender, the town is taking on the risk for those prices. But it may actually help with pricing, because if contractors are worried about that, they may put in a really high price initially. So it's something to consider there.
Megan, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
That would, would this be in regards to the question that we asked about finishing fourth, or is this for the whole project because we haven't approved it yet?
It's for the whole project. Yeah. Yeah.
Whole project. Okay, thank you. I just wasn't sure if this quote that we have here was like, is this still, can we expect this quote to be larger than right now?
That is what it's going to be.
That is what it's going to be. For what we see.
Well, okay.
Charlene, can I? Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Megan.
So it's a cost estimate that we provided as an engineer's estimate. And so what we do is we use previous project costs for the same type of stuff. So, you know, for a project that was done a year or two ago, we look at the price that it cost to do that. And then because of the escalation, in talking to other people in our office that are working with contractors on a regular basis and are seeing prices come in and having conversations with contractors, they're saying about a 20% increase from last year. So we added a 20% increase on our cost estimate. But we won't know until we get the prices if that's going to be what the prices come in at, or if it'll be higher or lower.
This is 20% greater.
Yeah, these numbers have already been adjusted.
Okay, so we're okay.
These numbers have been adjusted already.
Okay, I was thinking, oh my, wow, at 20% of that. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
We could go there. Okay, thank you, Megan. Wonderful.
Okay, that's your first kick at the Capitol.
That's great.
So now we've got some marching orders and we'll look at some other stuff.
This one, it is all the capital.
Okay, Megan, we're all good with you.
Thank you, Megan, so much. Thank you, Megan.
Okay, have a good night.
Right.
Okay.
The prices have been changed on this too. This is all the capital projects. I just gave it to you tonight. You can hardly read
So
it.
it's changed from this. I didn't get.
Yes,
Yeah, these have got some price.
they've been changing hourly.
Oh, you know what? It's because we're here.
So I
It's 'cause we're over there. Mine's right here.
And I believe I sent you those via the,
I didn't get
I
one.
scanned them.
I didn't get one. He took mine.
Yeah, I have them here, I think.
Oh, so this
So,
is right.
so this is what those pieces were that we scanned earlier is the change of prices in, mostly into the capital project because of the increases in the commodity prices. Okay, what do you want to do now?
I don't want to stay.
Quick bio break,
Bio break?
just a quick one.
Yeah.
I'm going anyway.
Shirley doesn't need to stay for the closed session. I can do the closed session.
So I'll just forewarn them. The budgets have been changing continuously, like right even to the point I was late because of trying to get it done. I've got what you guys all saw. Now I've got a new one with the changes. And I have a sheet that I'm kind of put together That will tell you each thing that has changed, and then we'll do a PowerPoint presentation, quick one, that starts at the beginning and goes right through. So it would take probably an afternoon. And then you guys get to do your thing.
So go right through the whole budget.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I've made changes that you guys haven't seen
Can
and
you
you
say-
may approve or not approve.
Just send them and we'll respond to all of council with those questions.
Yeah, because, yeah, okay, I can do that.
That'd be great. Okay. Okay, you want to do a 5-minute bio break before we go into closed
Sure.
session? Because I got,
Let's do
and
it.
Cheryl doesn't have to stay for that part because it's just,
We can go into break right now, and then I can just ask.
Okay.
8:54, 5-minute break. At 9:05, I will call the meeting back to order. Our 5-minute breaks are not 5 minutes.
It's your job,
Poor time management.
Oh my God. That's exactly it. That's got to be control there. All right, we're good. Okay, we're back in session. Andrew, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Are you available for our next regular meeting next week, Wednesday?
What date is that?
6th,
6th. I'll still be here.
but you're gonna be remote?
So remote, yeah. We're supposed to be done this project on the 7th, but it looks like it's gonna go to the 9th.
Okay.
But yeah,
So,
I'll be available virtually for sure.
Thanks, Andrew.
Just the internet here that's shitting the bed, and they don't want to fix it because it's the end of project, so it's getting worse by the day. But yeah, I'll try to make it. I will make it.
It's coming through pretty good on our end, like obviously minus the delay, which I think we're all comfortable with now.
Yeah, you've got to be here, or we don't have quorum. We won't have.
Oh, I'll be here.
Okay,
I'll be there.
thank you. All right,
There's still 4 of us.
It was his internet connection that concerned me. Make
Yeah,
sure
they're
that if we lost him,
Yeah.
it'd still be okay.
And still, if you
Yeah.
didn't make it.
oh, we're still okay? Okay.
Just.
Just gonna say that I heard doing mags was actually here.
Yeah.
I'll give you a motion to go into closed session.
Okay. All those in favor of going to a closed session? Awesome, carried unanimously.
Cheryl, that was it.
Can I get a motion, or excuse me, all those in favor to come out of closed session? Okay, yes, Councilor.
I just, Charlene, I'd like to, I don't know if I need to put a motion on the table. I just don't want this missed. I think I should put a motion on the table to direct admin to bring a ice rent, or to do an ice rental review.
Yep.
And bring back possible options to assist in reducing local user rates. And I'd like to see that by June. Because I know councils, do we still have the same amount of meetings in July and August?
You haven't made that decision yet.
Okay.
The answer is no. That.
Yeah.
Can I tack onto that one to see what the cost implication would be to get rid of that block charge for ice resurfacing?
Well, that could be included in the options.
Yeah.
Yeah, for them it was 7,700, just for
I
them,
mean, that was nonsense.
just for that.
To break it up.
Work out the numbers. When her paperwork's at $340 a week. For 7, for the 4 months, October, for the 5 months. Kind of fell a little short of what.
So we got 340 times 25 for 24. $81.
Yeah, there's missing.
Oh, for sure.
Right, so.
Well, and they may have been just giving for their own. But I mean,
thousands of dollars, like it's still a lot of money.
So
even if
an ice rental review, possible, so you want an ice rental review, and possible options to reduce local user rates, reduce the block
And I don't care about the adults. I'm more
fund
concerned
rates,
about the
and then
youth.
for use only. For use only?
Yeah, I'm concerned about the youth. Adults choose to make that choice, and I think it's important. Like, and my son plays hockey, so.
Yeah.
But.
Who bears a? So where's that money going now that the charges are for? And then if they're not paying it, then who pays the brunt of that? People that don't pay hockey, the rest of the citizens, the constituents?
No, it's
Just a
used-
question, like if we take money, so it's user, so go ahead, sorry, delay.
Well, if nobody's using it, Andrew, then we're not paying to resurface it or anything, technically.
So these
So this
users,
is just taken away. I don't understand.
if these user groups can't afford to rent the ice, we're gonna lose the business, so then it will really start falling on the backs of the ratepayers. So, and we want to support our local youth as much as we can and keep them involved in stuff like this. So that's my reasons behind that, Andrew.
Okay, and I hear you, and my kids all play hockey too, so I get that, but there is a huge portion, maybe I'm wrong, there's a portion of kids that don't use the arena. So are we going to take away or have taxpayers pay for a service they'll never use? Like, I'd like to know the percentage of the children, how many children are we dealing with, how many youth, how many people use it? What's the percentage? Like, we make a decision to take away the cost of it and put it on other people that don't use it.
Yeah, I guess that will
I
come
just think we
back.
need,
Rate review.
I think we need more information before we start making decisions on cutting costs.
Yeah, that's the reason for doing a rate review. Absolutely.
Okay, so, okay, I'm sorry. It must be a delay. I didn't hear the review part. I thought we were talking about reducing or taking it away.
Oh, no. Doing a review.
Okay, I'm giving it Councillor Bain.
But whatever we do, there's going to be people that are not using that. If we don't pave or do pave a road, then we're taking money away from people who don't drive. If you don't have kids in school, then we're taking away money from them to pay for the ones that do go to school. So we have to look at everything. You're right. We do want to balance it as much as possible, but simply saying that we're taking money away from people that aren't going to be using it.
Yeah, and that's so Ted, to that point, that's exactly what I want to know, the percentage of the people that are using it. So if we're making a decision for the greater good, it's for the greater good.
Yeah.
And not for a minority.
Thanks, Ted. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Heather. Okay, someone wanna?
Well, are we voting on the motion?
Yeah, we are. All in favor?
You don't need to raise them.
Passed unanimously. And and now I'm taking, I don't need a motion to.
Nope.
Okay, at 9:35, this meeting is adjourned. Fucking done. Great end.